sure. It's so confusing. Please, if anyone's watching, say something. Honestly, why do I keep saying that? Okay. There we go. No, this is not the one I wanted. No. Frustrating. Frustrating. You think it'd work? No. Get rid of this one now. It was working, but I didn't like the overlay. Honestly, why did I do that? Ugh. Ugh. Stop it. I have to redo this again. Are you kidding? It says it's live. It's just going, but... Okay. Okay. Yeah, you did me, YouTube. You're just gonna have to stick with it, because I don't know what it's doing. Oy, oy, oy. But at least you'll be able to see the screen. Okay. I'm just like, oof. Everyone that's on, if you could say hello or something that's coming in, be sure to say something so I know that you're seeing what I need you to see at the moment. Wait, go here, go here, for the danger. Okay, that loaded in. If you are on right now, feel free to say hi. Feel free to say hi. Please say hi. So I know that this is working. Yeah. Right, got it. If you're on, please say hi. Come on. You know you want to. Thank you. Not what I meant you to do, but thank you anyway. Thank you anyway, you still got the link. Okay. Copy? Good. Hi, thanks for saying something. I really appreciate it. really appreciate it. I'm just gonna say that there, and even though I don't have to, I'm going here anyway. Like, if something happens, and I need to say something, I'll have my phone here, but trying to use it to make sure everything's working like it should. Yeah, everything seems to be working. Yeah. Well, let's get to chapter 8, where we left off. I'm gonna go to the pages again, because those are easier. Even though, yeah. Like, quick get an overview of what happened. Like, yeah, we have some interesting things happening in chapter 8. Some scary things. Bad things. Obviously. But yeah, eventually things will get better. Well, you'd hope so. Well, I'm not gonna say if they do. You'd hope so. Eventually, maybe they do. And yeah, I mentioned someone that hasn't shown up yet. Just so I could get a little more people who just want to see how she appears. Yeah, I know there are other characters in here that'll show up. I haven't said who they are yet. Cause they don't come until, like, later chapters. Like, another one doesn't come up until, like, chapter 15. And another one doesn't come up until, like, 20-ish. Let's stay here for a moment. Like, yeah. Anyway. I think I'll give another few minutes for other people to show up before we get started, even though it doesn't matter anyway, because people could just watch back later. That was a weird one. I rarely do that. Burp, I mean. Except that I'm burping a lot more often and better than I used to do when I was younger. It used to be very watery. It's still kind of watery, but it doesn't feel weird when I do it. My first official burp was about 12 years old. Fun fact. A lot of things happened when I was 12 years old. Yeah, a lot of things happened before. Yeah, I got through a lot of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, like, we're at page 80 at the moment. Yeah. I've been working on other things, like you might have briefly seen. I might have been working on something. But I'm still in the writing rough draft portion of it. It's not really a thing yet. It's like an old concept on a rough draft of this series. But yeah, it's like very rough before YouTubers were at it. Before I changed a lot of things. It's like I liked the concept, but I didn't really like how it was written. Because there was one part of it that just, like, didn't settle well. And, like, I scrapped that idea entirely. And just had the two brothers. And, yeah, it's like some characters still stayed. Rose used to have a different last name. Even though now she's technically not quite yet in the books. Other books, like, she doesn't need to be because she's technically here. Fine. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm also trying to try different things, and, yeah. So far, I'm liking how I'm going so far. But I'm not sure what's gonna happen when the certain accident in that book happens. Like, what happens afterwards? What did they do? What did they find? What did they discover? How do the characters react to the situation? It's scary. I get so many subs by just doing videos. It's not that many though. 100 or so? No. It's not horrible, but it's better than it was almost a year ago. Yeah. And I've just continued on. And now I'm sharing this book series that people enjoy. Gosh, okay, I think we should get started now. Unless you have any questions. Because I'm just rambling about another book that's not this book. And I'm sure you want to see the other characters and maybe learn a few things about them. Of course, I've changed their stories slightly just to make it more interesting. But yeah, I like it. I like how I did it. It makes it more interesting. Makes it more unique and alternate university. Because it's not the exact same. So weird how worlds have alternate universes of themselves. And alternate universes of that selves. Well, technically. It's just something to easily explain. I can do whatever I want. But yeah. Doesn't mean everything I want is easy. Anyway. Let's see what's going on in this. In Stephanie's mind. Just so you know, he was captured, kidnapped, met Mr. A and RJ, who were freed from the prison world, and told Gerald, who took him out of his world just moments before William was about to rescue him. So, yeah, the helpers are probably taking it hard right now, trying to find some way to get help, but they can't. They're stuck. They can't go through the portals. Probably because of something connected to the world that's keeping them there. Ow! Something's there that's keeping them there that they can't go and explore. Like, somebody like a target can easily go through because he's not, quote-unquote, part of the world. But William, Polly, and Lizzie are part of the world. And unlike YouTubers and townspeople, they can't really cross through. It's really hard to explain. So I don't really understand it myself. It's just, I know they can't cross through. I just don't understand how that's even possible. Maybe it has to do with the fact that they can't talk. Maybe. Maybe they need a voice. They have their own ways of making their own voice. So, I don't know. That's a theory for another day. Chapter 8. And I got a little sunlight pouring in on my screen. Ah! Could turn off my keyboard because that's going to be annoying. Stumpy woke up slowly. Feeling sore, he struggled to sit up from the cold and dusty cobblestone floor. The room didn't seem all too large, but it was big enough for a cot in the corner of the room, a small iron-barred window, and an empty space where the dust and cobwebs were lingering. It was as if this room had been abandoned months ago, and perhaps it had. But now it was being used as his prison cell, where he was unable to run, unable to get away from the nightmares that now had become his reality. Poor Stampy. The cat stood up, brushing himself off in the remaining dirt that had managed to stick onto his fur, as he looked around the room. There was an iron door at the far corner of the room, tightly locked with a small window to look through. The cat walked over to the door and peeked out, but could only see a hallway that led in both directions. Where was he? How long would he be staying here? What would become of him when Mr. A was ready for him? Gerald obviously wouldn't be so easily fooled into answering those sorts of questions. Here goes. After all, the cat was his prisoner, at his mercy. He had nowhere to go. If what the man said was right, no one would ever know that something had happened to him, much less be able to help him. The cat stepped away from the door and headed over to the cot, putting his paw on it. Paws, testing to see how it felt. It was a very hard cut, and it didn't feel all that comfortable. As the cat looked down, it's supposed to be paused. How dare you, Grammarly? How dare you? Not read fully through the sentence. He realized that they were shaking slightly. In fact, he could feel himself shivering. Not because it's cold, but because of the inner fear that threatened to overwhelm him. All the sort of fears that he never wanted to experience again. The cat closed his eyes and took slow, deep breaths. He knew his helpers would try to find a way to get help to him. They no doubt wouldn't give up that easily, but could they find a way to help get help other than the portal? He was so sure. Just hoped they were okay. It would certainly make things a little easier. Those men wanted him, after all, not them. But why had he been brought here of all places? Where was this place? The cat let out a sigh as he walked over to the small window, trying to see what he could make out through the iron bars that kept him out of this outside world. Freedom. A lump caught in his throat as he saw the dark oak forest only a dozen feet from the window. There were a few oak trees as well, but the tall and large dark oak trees dominated them 20-1. Yet, seeing them reminded him of the small gathering of them back in his world. How long had he been here? Couldn't possibly be still in his world anymore. The cat could see the clear blue sky slightly through the tall trees, which blocked most of the small window view. The cat let out another sigh. Wish he could be out there of this dusty prison. So, and somewhere brighter, somewhere less terrifying. His thoughts were interrupted when he heard a click from the doorway and heard someone walking in, closing the door partly behind them. The cat turned to see who it was and wished that he hadn't. His blood ran cold as he watched Gerald approaching him with a small, triumphant smile on his face. Looks like you had a good rest on the floor, didn't you? The man teased. I almost thought you'd never wake up. What do you want? The cat asked, not wanting to play this man's game. What makes you say I want something? The man asked, taking another step closer. The cat stepped back, trying to slide past the man, but the man cut him off. This man was trying to corner him, to make him feel vulnerable. Not that he didn't feel that way already. He had nothing on him. No food, no weapons, not even his boots, which made him very uncomfortable. He had no way to defend himself. No way to get away from this man. I think she got the message. You always want something, the cat said matter-of-factly. If you didn't, why would you bother visiting me? Wouldn't it be better if you left me alone? Isolated? The man shook his head. No, where's the fun in that? The cat swallowed as the man came closer, till he was only a few feet in front of him. The cat could feel the man's warm breath on his face. He so badly wanted to look away. He didn't know what this man wanted to do with him. He hated it. It's such a pity that you don't have anyone coming to rescue you, isn't it? The man said with a sneer. You don't know that, the cat said under his breath, regretting it the moment after he finished saying it. Oh dear. Do you know how long it took me to prepare for this moment, cat? How long I've waited to finally have you under my mercy? With no risk of anyone trying to stop me? The man asked, leaning down so the cat was forced to press himself against the wall. I've waited months before your little friend left to return home. I waited weeks simply watching you, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Spent hours ensuring that there would be no way your helpers could contact the cause, that you were in trouble. They even were trying in the first place. Of course they were, the cat insisted, interrupting the man. The man's eyes sparked a flame of fury within as he continued. How can you be so sure, cat? Your friends haven't contacted you in weeks. They haven't checked on how you were doing and set up a poor way to send help if you ever needed it. Well, it doesn't go to say that they don't care about you at all, and that they were just waiting for an opportunity to leave you. How can you be sure they truly care? Rose left with Sam not too long after she arrived. Why? Was she in a hurry, or did she just want her nephew to get as far away from you as she could? And what to say the boy even cares about you? Yeah, maybe he's being a little harsh. Of course he does, the cat said defensively. He saved my life. Why would he do that if he didn't care? And that's not to say he simply did it to look good. Well, it goes to say he's happy not to be in your company right now, making promises he never actually keeps, the man asked coldly. How can you be sure that they haven't just left you for dead? Not even trying to look for me. Not even trying to make a better way to contact them. They were trying to protect me from those who believe your lies, the cat said, trying to fight back against the overwhelming emotion that threatened to come out. Why was this man doing this? What did he think he would achieve? Sam, you're a traitor, cat, the man said. They lied to you, only so that you wouldn't see what was really going on. It was too late. They pretended to be your friends, only to turn their backs on you. That's not true, the cat said, stifling a sob. His frightening eyes only making the man look more intense, more threatening, more like a predator preparing for the kill. Can you prove that, cat? The man asked slowly. Can you prove to me that they care about you? And what if they do? What happens when they do find out what you're doing and stop you? The cat demanded. By then, it would be far too late for you, even if they did find out. Smith chuckled. Doubt they'd even bother. You're better off dead than being a burden to them. I'm not. The cat started, but before he... Hello, trash can. But before he could say more, the man lashed out and struck him. The cat cried out, falling back on the wall, covering the left side of his face with a paw. Tears formed in his eyes as the man sneered again. Can they stop me from hurting you, cat? The man asked. They could care less about you, and even if they did, they wouldn't be able to help you. The boys then are in school and are unable to help you, and all your other friends are far too busy to worry about you. In fact, they don't even care about you at all, much less think about you. You're nothing more to them than a memory, one they would rather forget. That's not... The cat tried again, but the man swung again, and the cat ducked, falling to the dust-covered floor as he tried to scramble away from the man, but the man stopped his path, and the cat was forced to look up as a looming man, shadow loomed over him. No one's coming to help you, cat, the man said darkly. You're on your own, and I will make sure you get that. Please, the cat insisted. You don't have to do this. Why are you doing this? And why would I care to answer that, cat? The man said with a sneer. All you are to me is a prisoner, and all the cause thinks of you is as a traitor. It's not true, the cat said, trying to fight the tears that were starting to fall. He rubbed his left cheek gingerly, wondering if there would be a bruise there. There are people who care. Sam even said he'd do anything to help me. He'd skip school to keep you from hurting me. Did he now? The man said, raising an eyebrow. Then a gleam filled his eyes as he smiled at the cat. This is definitely not for kids under the age of 13. Tell me then, where is he now? Can he keep me from doing this to you? The cat cried out in pain as the man finished his sentence by kicking him. The cat scrambled as far as he could from the man, whimpering as he did so. He had nowhere to run from this man, nowhere to hide. He was alone, frightened, and helpless. The man smiled and kicked the cat again. Stamping cried out, Oh, hello, Molly. Have a nice day. The man smiled and kicked the cat again, and Stampy cried out even louder, pleading for the man to stop. But the man did it for a second and third time. before tears of pain were streaming down the cat's face. The man knelt down to the cat's level, lifted the cat's chin so that he was looking up at him, and lifted the cat's chin. There we go. That's it. Let's fix that tiny mistake. And lifted. I've done everything I can to ensure no one can help you, cat. Even though you escaped from us once, you won't be getting away from us again. Please. The cat sobbed quietly, wanting to look away as the man leaned closer. Can't. I can. And I will. The man said simply. His voice a hoarse whisper that terrified him. And there's nothing that will stop me from finishing what I started. Not you, not your friends, nor even that boy who you claim cares about you. You're alone, cat. You're nothing to anyone in the cause. If you truly cared, they would have tried harder to ensure your safety. What can you say when that's the case? You're wrong, cat choked, coughing from his tears and the pain. My helpers will find a way. They always do. Not this time, cat. The man said, shaking his head as he said, even if your message did get through, most likely the people who find it would toss it away into the fire. Junk. That's how much they care. They see your only source of help going up in flames and returning to ashes, of which they believe you should have become. No, the cat said, shaking his head. His voice sounded weak, small, nothing compared to the power that Gerald had over him. He was his prisoner. He was nothing compared to this man. He was too weak, too defenseless to come against him. Every time he tried, the man brought him down, shook him to the core, tried to crush all of the hope that he had of help coming. Perhaps the man was right. Maybe he was alone after all. The man smiled darkly as he leaned in for one final statement. I'll see you very soon, cat. I'm having fun with this conversation, aren't you? No, the cat said weakly, exhausted from the crying and the pain, tired of feeling afraid, tired of seeing this man bring him down when he was stronger, braver, and able to ignore the words that the man was saying, but he couldn't ignore them. He couldn't keep them from seeping into his mind and crushing him, crushing all of his hopes, all his desires, and all of the things he so badly wanted to do. He felt alone, wishing he had any sort of hope to hang on to. A friend who would defend him from this man. But where was that friend? Did he even have any at all anymore? Or had they all abandoned him like Gerald was claiming? We all know that's not true. Well, very well, if you want to have it that way, the man said, getting to his feet and then kicked the cat once more. Good measure for walking out of the cell, closing and locking the door behind him, leaving the cat alone and afraid, utterly vulnerable and weak. The cat hated just how hurt and lonely he felt, wanting so badly for someone to be there to help him, to lift him up, get him back on his feet. He was crushed, shattered. He had nothing, no one could help him. He was truly alone. Chapter 9. Long pause. Long pause. Anyway. Huh. This charger is blue. More like navy blue. In the sunlight. Cool. Like, never really looked blue. Like, never looked blue to me. Just looked. I don't know what it looked. I'm just like, lighting. Anyway. Yeah. A few days had passed, and Sam already felt at home in the school building, sleeping in a room with his two friends on the second floor of the building. The first floor had all the classrooms, while the second floor was where all the students and teachers slept. The whole third floor was for any guests that could arrive and visit the school for whatever reason it might be. The school schedule couldn't be any simpler than the boy could have imagined. There were classes in the morning, about 2 or 3 a day, and then the kids had the rest of the day off. And the cool thing was, they could decide what classes they wanted to take. No doubt Sam was excited for this. It was far more freeing than his previous school, which was far more strict with the classes, of course. They always are. Most of that. It was the afternoon, and Sam was helping his brother at the hospital wing with Brian. While Brian had gone to practice with some sword fighting skills with a tutor that was older than him. Even though Liam had offered, he felt it wouldn't matter anyway. There were different ways to fight with a sword after all. Sam was sorting through chests, organizing potions onto shelves that were labeled. He recognized the potion of healing that he'd used for his friend a few times after the traumatic event that had occurred. Though Stampy had experienced more emotional injuries than physical, Sam was able to help him walk through it and overcome it. At least, he was pretty sure he had, since God had never mentioned it since he'd gone to the lovely ink skyscraper with him a long time ago. Sam couldn't imagine just how far his friend had come, and he felt that so long as Gerald never got his hands on his friend again, he would be stronger than ever before, especially when his friends on his side. He carefully placed the bottles on their shelves, careful not to knock any of them and send them toppling to the ground. That would honestly not be very fun for him. But as he worked, his mind wandered, thinking about Lizzie, who was no doubt a very interesting character with a brave personality. She was very nice and willing to help out those in need. She taught the boy a few things, even brewing potions on a brewing stand, which he had a feeling would be a skill he might need to use in the future. It's true. But at the moment, he was having a fun time helping her. Even though he didn't help with the animals, which was what Liam was doing, but he was doing some of the potions, which is just more. The boy had finished another chest and pushed it aside, stepping back to marvel at his work. There were lots of colorful potions, and no doubt the boy couldn't possibly learn how to do them all. Maybe someday he would. That looks pretty good, a voice said from behind him, and the boy turned to see Lizzie smiling at him. Oh, I didn't see you there, Sam said quickly, grabbing another chest and dragging it over to the line of shelves. It's okay, she said with a shrug. You look pretty busy anyway. Almost done with those? With these? Yeah, just this last one, and we should be good, Sam said matter-of-factly, opening the chest and looking inside. That's good, Lizzie replied, watching the boy as he worked. The boy picked up another potion and put it carefully in its place, satisfied with what he'd done so far. Once he was done with all of them, the boy took a step back again and looked at it carefully. Lizzie nodded in approval, and she said, I like how you used the colors there. Very pretty. Sam smiled and nodded. Well, it needed to look nice. Don't you agree? Totally, she said with a chuckle. Do you want to come to the back with me and see if there are any animals nearby? No, we could check with Stacy. Stacy was a neighbor of the school and a friend of Lizzie's, and the one taking charge of the animal care in the hospital. Even though she mostly stayed at home to care for the larger animals, she let them take care of the smaller ones to keep Lizzie up to practice, since there wasn't much need for her to do anything. Sure, Sam said with a shrug. He'd only met the young woman once when they'd been walking around the woods, looking for some ingredients needed for the potions. Not all of them were found in the woods, but you know what I mean. She certainly had a love for animals that Lizzie tried to match. Mostly, she was no doubt only supporting her friend because it was quite a lot of work rescuing and caring for animals. Aww. Lizzie smiled and beckoned for the boy to follow, and Sam did so without hesitation as he went through the main room of the hospital wing, where Liam was tending to a chicken's broken wing as he followed the woman into the back room, walking over to the back door. She opened the back door for the boy, and Sam walked out, looking out at the bright and sunny landscape that was surrounding them. Sam could feel the warm sun shining on him, and it felt great. Not too warm and not too cold. It was perfect. "Let's go," Lizzie said, snapping the boy out of his daze as he followed her along the edges of the woods, and they both looked in, seeing whether or not there were any animals nearby that needed tending to. After walking a full circle around the building, they came back to find Liam waiting outside for them. "You're already done?" Lizzie said with an impressed tone. "Yeah," Liam said with a smile. "Chicken was really calm and let me handle it without an issue. After a little bit of rest, she should be ready to be released back into the wild." "That's good," Lizzie said with a nod. "Then why don't you join us to visit Stacy's place? It's not far." Liam shook his head. "I'm going to go check out on Brian and see how he's doing. Maybe I can give the teacher a hand." "Sounds like a good idea to me," Lizzie replied. "I'm impressed by what you already can do in your age." Liam laughed. "Sam and I learned from really good teachers." Lizzie nodded, glancing over at the older boy as she said, "I'm sure you miss your friends very much. I know I do." "Have you ever gotten a chance to visit them?" Sam asked curiously. She shook her head. "No, just too dangerous for me to try that at the moment." "Oh," Sam said, realizing that this was a sensitive subject. "Forget I asked. Don't worry about it," she smiled. "I know you're curious, and there's no harm in that." Sam nodded as Liam wished them good luck as he headed off in the opposite direction as they were. Lizzie led the way confidently, and the boy didn't feel it was fair to ask any more questions. It was obviously none of his business, and if she wanted to tell him, she would. Of course, trust faster. Trust factor. Faster. "So, how was your day so far?" she asked suddenly, when they were halfway to their destination. Sam was momentarily surprised by her question, but regained himself as he replied, "I'm doing all right, I guess." "Everything going all right with Dan lately?" she asked, reminding him of his daily conversations with the YouTuber. Tom had a communicator in his office, in which he gave the boy permission to use to communicate with Dan. Though it was nice to talk to his friend, he wasn't the only one that he really wanted to talk to. "Yeah, he's doing excellent work on the rescue missions," Sam said, "though there have been some odd things happening." "Yes, very odd things." "How do you mean?" she asked. "Well, for the past few months, Mr. A's men usually attack the YouTuber randomly, and not very often, and usually with a half-hearted attempt. Recently, they've been more forceful, intentional, and stronger. That can't be good. Do you know what might be the cause of that?" she asked curiously. Sam shook his head. "Dan doesn't know, but he promised me that he would be careful and not take any risk unless it's absolutely necessary." Lizzie chuckled and shook her head. "So he'll certainly try." "Well, he's managed to stay out of trouble this far. I'm sure he can handle whatever this is and solve it in no time." "I wonder what that could be." Lizzie nodded. "I honestly can't believe just how much of an impact he's made in such a short amount of time." Sam nodded. "That's what happens when you get a committed YouTuber with a mission." "Very true," she said with a smile as they continued along the path. "I'm sure you aren't just thinking about Dan's safety, are you?" The boys followed. Charlotte hasn't been found yet, and as you can guess, it kind of worries me a little bit. The longer we wait, the more chance that something might happen." She nodded. "I'm concerned about him too. But I know he has helpers who will do whatever they can to help him." Sam sighed. "But are they enough? Won't Charles find a way or get around them?" She shrugged. "That's what the portal is for, to call for help when he needs it." Sam nodded. "But I still want to hear from him, to know for sure that he's okay, not complete silence. I don't know what's going on, and it bugs me." Lizzie nodded, looking away from the boy as they continued. Sam noticed that she had gone quiet, as if she was lost in thought. "Is everything all right, Lizzie?" the boy asked. She nodded and swallowed. "I'm okay. It's just you remind me kind of like your mother. You remind me of my, like, you remind me of your mother." something she would do. That would be something she would say. It would be something she would say. There we go. Boom. Period. And Grammarly's being Grammarly. No surprise there. You knew my mother? You knew my mother? Sam asked in surprise, stopping in his tracks. Not sure if he heard her right. He did, she said with a nod. We were good friends before she gave up her life to save me. Oh, Sam said, not sure what to say to that. She was willing to risk her life to help me. When I was at my lowest point, watching everything and everyone I love either get destroyed or betray me in order to protect me. She told me to go with your aunt, but listen, it wasn't until she took an arrow from me that I truly realized what was happening, and Rose and I were forced to flee. She wiped away tears from her eyes. You were willing to do that for Stampy when he needed you the most. To be honest, I'm glad you did that. I'm sorry, I didn't know, Sam said, walking over to her, wondering if he should give her a hug or not. Oh, Lizzie smiled sadly, shaking her head. You needed to know. Sam nodded. Is there any way I can help you? Maybe we should go back and let you rest. No, it's okay, she replied. I'm okay. Besides, I'm stronger now than I was back then. Is that why you can't see your friends? It's too dangerous for them? The boy asked. She swallowed. I'm safer here, where Tony and the others can keep an eye on me. Wait. She paused before trying again. One of my friends betrayed me in order to try to protect me. I didn't know about it until it was nearly too late. But they didn't know what would become of that choice. 1,000 men were trying to kill me. All because I was a YouTuber. Sam nodded. That's gotta be hard on you to remember. It is, but I've made it this far. She smiled sadly. And maybe someday I'll see my friends again, and I can finally forgive him for the pain that he caused me. You're willing to do that after all he did? Sam asked in surprise. Yeah, she replied. Because I know he didn't mean to harm me. He was trying to protect me, but ended up putting me in danger. I haven't seen him since that day, but I hope someday I will. We can finally be together like it was meant to be. I hope that happens for you too, the boy said. But are you sure you want to keep going? We could do this tomorrow, when you're feeling better. She let out a long sigh. I must feel pretty weak doing this. Sam shook his head. No, you're not. You're brave enough to tell me. That has to take a lot of courage to trust me. She smiled. Good. Because I do trust you, Sam. I trust both of you. Because I know you have the potential to do great things. And help so many people. Oop. Sam nodded. It's the right thing to do. It sure is, she replied, taking the boy's hand as they walked back the way. Sam glad he was able to help her, even though he had to learn something from her. Something he never thought he needed. But he was grateful for it. Chapter 10. La la. Ugh. Week old soup. Let's figure that out. Cold moldy soup. Chapter 10. I've said that twice now. It felt like an eternity since he'd been imprisoned in this awful cell. His only company was the daily visit from Gerald, who continued to come and try to break him even more day by day, tried to beat him down and get him to feel hopeless. And he was afraid that it was working. He was lying on the hard cot, bruised, beaten, and broken. He was in pain, and he was exhausted. And the fact that no one knew he was here or could help him made him feel alone. And what if someone did know? Did they care enough to go looking for him? Or would he be left in the mercy of these men until they finally ended him? Was it already too late? He tried to block out those painful questions, the thoughts that threatened to strip everything away from him. He would never see his world again. He would never see his friends again. He was alone, and there was nothing he could do about it. Suddenly, he could hear footsteps by his cell door, but didn't want to look. Didn't want to know if Gerald was there, just waiting to hurt him again, ready to crush him until he had nothing left. He didn't know why the man was doing this, but the feeling that it had to do with whatever Mr. A was planning for him. The cat heard the lock click, and the door being pushed open. The cat tensed, too sore and bruised to care. He'd already suffered a week of this, a week of pain and torment and nightmares. He didn't want any more of it. He wanted to be anywhere but here. He wanted to be with people who wanted to help him, who actually cared. But how would he be so sure someone did now? Gerald kept breaking that thought process of hope down before it even began. It's good to see you're getting some rest, cat, Gerald said casually, and the cat could hear him approaching. The cat growled as he finally sat up on the cot. Why would you care? Because you need the energy, cat, Gerald mused with a smile. Mr. A doesn't want you to die of exhaustion and hunger now, does he? How would I know? The cat said bitterly. It's not like you've been telling me what's going on. Gerald laughed. I plan to keep it that way. Now, have some of this. It'll help. The man took out a bowl of what looked like moldy soup. The cat swallowed and shook his head, disgusted by the sight. Ew. Hey. So you can beat me down again? I don't think so. Anger sparked in the man's eyes as he came closer. I'll force feed it to you if I have to. You will eat this, cat. It's no exception. That is no exception. Steppy shook his head, hating how close the man was getting to him. Was this just more of the man's games? One more way to torment him? To make him feel even worse than he already was? I'm not eating that. It's not going to get you anywhere. Yes, you wish. The man said coldly as he grabbed the cat and forced him to lift his head up. The cat struggled, trying to pull away from the man, while Gerald held the bowl of soup, forcing him to drink it. It was awful. Horrible. It's not the first time I gave him something horrible. Oh, for Stephanie, I keep giving you horrible stuff. And the cat couldn't do anything about it. At least it's not moldy cake. After the man was done, he stepped back and let the cat fall back on his bed. Tears in his eyes as he took deep breath, wanting so badly to have something better, like cake. But Gerald knew better than that. He knew what the cat really wanted. That tortured him to eat something he hated. Now, where were we? The man said as he put away the now empty bowl. Ah, yes. How about I teach you a lesson of what happens if you disobey an order? You can't. You can't. The cat growled, tired and spent, fear filling him as the man grabbed him again, dragging him away from the cot and pushing him against the wall. I can't, the man said in amusement. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. The cat cried out in pain as the man kicked him, forcing him to fall onto his knees, shaking. The cat closed his eyes, trying to ignore the pain, ignore the man's words, reminding him that he was alone. No one was coming for him. No one cared for a traitor. The cat pleaded, only to cry out again, tears falling as he fell the rest of the way to the floor, gasping for air as he struggled to get away from the man. Gerald was too strong for him, too smart. He couldn't get away from him. Couldn't escape. No, the truth, cat. You hate it. The man mused through the dark smile. You can't deny it now, can you? It's been a week, and there have been no signs that anyone even cares to check on you. Where's the time to? They don't need you. Just like you don't need them. You're better off dead to them. And you know that, because I made sure of it myself. Please, the cat insisted, trying to look away from the man. Please stop. I won't stop until there's nothing left for you to hold on to. Mr. A is ready for you. Do you truly want to face what he has for you? More than this? I'm just going easy on you, cat. You know nothing about what pain is like. It's Steppy whimpered, shaking his head as the man kicked him again. too tired to fight back, too broken to find the words to speak. It was hopeless. There was nothing he could do about this. No one was coming. Gerald was right. He'd seen it himself, and the cause had rescued Dan over him, abandoning and leaving him to die. Sure, Sam and Liam had come to his rescue. Dan had come back to try to help, but what was the point in hoping that they would be able to help him now? Dan was too busy making sure other YouTubers were safe. Sam and Liam were in school, too busy to even be worried about him. All the others he could think of either didn't care or didn't know. It hurt far more than anything Gerald had done could do physically. Why didn't you get some rest, Cat? The man said at last, stepping away from the sobbing cat. See you tomorrow. Please, leave me alone, the cat whimpered, feeling it hard to move due to all the bruises and scratches he'd received. But the outside was nothing compared to how broken he was on the inside. He wished there was someone who could help him, someone who would remind him that people did care, but he didn't have that. He wasn't sure he could convince himself that fact either anymore. He didn't hear Gerald walk away, didn't hear what the man had said before closing and locking the door behind him. He was too blinded by tears, too sore to look up, listening to his own sobs as he laid there on the dusty floor, hopeless and broken. He was nothing more than a prisoner now, his fate sealed by the people who wanted to destroy him, to eliminate him completely. Stamping closed his eyes, wanting a healing push so badly. The pain coursed through him, making it hard for him to do anything. He hated just how scared he was, how broken he sounded. As he heard his cries echo off the walls, was this really how things would end? Was this really how he would face the rest of his life? Nothing more than a burden to those who were trying to protect him, or at least he thought they were? That's supposed to be a question. Boop. Boop. That is supposed to be a question. He wasn't sure just how long he sat there, leaning against the cold, hard wall, hopelessly trying to find anything to hold on to. But there was no way out of this mess. There was nothing in it. The cell he could use to escape. The man had made sure to take everything off him, making him both defenseless and barren. He had nothing, and he had a feeling it wouldn't be long before the men finally were ready for him. But before he could dwell on how dire his situation was, further, he could hear a subtle but clear hissing sound. Very familiar. Hi, Squishy! Familiar hissing sound. The cat instinctively scrambled back from the wall, just in time as something exploded, smashing a hole in the wall as the cat groaned in shock and pain. The blast had shocked his already weakened system as he stared down at the hole that had been made. How had a creeper gotten in the area? He was pretty sure nothing could get in or out without the men's knowledge. Again, they were quiet and very sneaky, creeping up from behind without much of a sound. Perfect sneak attack. Of course he wasn't going to get out on his own. Oh, poor Stampy. The cat took deep breaths, trying to calm his racing heart as he stumbled to his feet, feeling even more sore than he already had. Already was. At least he hadn't gotten a direct hit from the blast, but it had weakened him. But just seeing the hole that opened to the outside, a way to freedom, they gave him a small glimmer of hope. But he didn't have long, especially if someone had heard that explosion. The cat walked over to the opening, hesitating as he swallowed, looking back over at the cell door, which was still closed. Could he really do this? Could he escape all of this? He wasn't sure, especially if Gerald had backup. He had seemed pretty determined to make sure he didn't get away, or that no one would ever know what was happening. He wouldn't want him to escape that easily, but he had to try. There wasn't much of a choice, was there? Actually, there was. The cat realized. He could stay here, not risk running into the woods and getting caught. Who knew what would happen if he ran out and the men caught him? Gerald certainly would ensure he would regret it. The cat shuddered as he shook his head, lifting his head higher, He wasn't the only one in danger here. Sure, Mr. A had some sort of plan to be rid of him, but what? No one knew that the man was even running around. Hundreds of people were in danger. He couldn't just give up now, not when people needed him. I have to do this, Cat told himself, trying to convince himself. Ooh, the hero side's coming out. That he could do this. He had to. But as he stepped out into the sunshine, he looked around, doubt filling him, and he thought about the consequences. How did he know that anyone in the cause was nearby? How could he know that he could trust them to tell Eli or Rose or even Sam about what was going on? Who could he trust? He could be running from one danger into another. But that was the part of the risk. He didn't know. He knew he had been there before. He knew the uncertainty. It had been worse in the end. It had to be the same now. It was the worst to try. Not just for him, but for the many who were in danger as of this moment. Those lives were more valuable to him than his own. Even if he died trying, it would be worth it. It had to be. The hero. Oh, yes. Wonderberg's hero. Cat stumbled towards a cluster of trees, struggling to stay upright as he went along, looking over his shoulder, hoping none of them men would notice him slipping away. Once they knew he had gone out, it would be a run for his life, literally and figuratively. He just hoped those men didn't catch him. He really didn't want to face Gerald. Not now, not again. Stampy managed to get to the clearing. To the edge of the clearing. To the edge of the clearing. Yes. Yes, Grammarly. Yes, Grammarly. Thank you. For once, Grammarly did something right. At the edge of the clearing when he heard a shot from behind him. The cat looked back and gasped in horror as he saw one of the men charging towards him. He had no time to lose. Get back here, cat, the man hollered as the cat broke into a run. The cat didn't stop running or slow down, watching the trees blur from either side of him, feeling the pain around his middle and legs erupt. But he ignored it. He had to keep going. He couldn't give up now. I'm warning you, cat, the man shouted from behind him, his voice getting more and more intimidating. You don't want to know what happens when you try running away from fate. Please, just leave me alone, the cat cried, looking back as he spotted the man steadily gaining on him. Help! Please, someone help me. The man laughed, the cat hearing more movement around them. Were they wild animals? Were those men? Would he ever be rid of this man? What was he supposed to do? No one can hear you, cat, the man mused. It's only you and us now. You best surrender, or someone might get hurt. That someone would preferably be you. The cat ignored him, pushing himself harder until he noticed something ahead. The cat stopped in his tracks as he swallowed, gasping for breath, and he stepped back. He watched as 3 more men came out of the brush, surrounding him, 5-1. He was outnumbered, outmatched, and alone. He had no other choice but to surrender. But he couldn't give up now. He had to be so close. He couldn't go this far and get captured again. But what more could he do? The cat turned around until he faced the man who had chased him. A cold smile was plastered on his face, his dark eyes gleaming with a tree. Please don't do this. You can't. The cat pleaded, noticing the other men closing in around him. He was trapped. You really are easy to get to without the helpers by your side. The man said with a chuckle. You're nothing but a scaredy cat. The cat heard the other man chuckle as he swallowed again, feeling himself shaking in fear. He just didn't want to go back with the men. He didn't want to be threatened and beaten by the man who most wanted him dead. He wanted to be anywhere but here, but if only someone knew he was here. I'm not a scaredy cat, the cat softly, trying to be brave, even though it was clear he wasn't. He was tired. He was hurt, beaten, hopeless, and alone. There was nothing he could do, no one to run to. What are you then, cat? All you are to me is one more of Mr. A's victims. And we can't have you escaping us again. The cat shouted in fear as the man lunged toward him, He tried to dodge the man, but the man grabbed him, tackled him to the ground. The man pinning him down, making sure he couldn't simply shove him off. The man leaned closer until he could whisper in the cat's ear. The cat unable to pull away. Why do you think running from us will ever help? The man cause doesn't care about you. Probably kill you as soon as you step foot into one of their safe houses. How much they care about you. You're a burden to them. Burden and a threat. You're nothing. Tears filled the cat's eyes as he squirmed, too weak to do much else. He couldn't let this man get to him. He couldn't let them win like that. You know this? You know it's true, Cat. The man mused with a jerk chuckle. You know they don't care. They never have. Ever since the beginning. Please, just let me go. Cat begged. I don't want to go back. It's not my choice to make, Cat. The man said with a smile. It was dark and menacing. You're coming with us. Not on my watch, a voice shouted from above. But before any of them could react, someone jumped down and attacked the men by surprise, knocking out 3 of them in a swift motion. Oof. Sending a 4th scrambling away at them, Cat looked up in surprise. See where to come to his rescue. Now that was epic. Standing only 20 feet from him was a young woman in her mid to late 30s, wearing dark blue jeans and a blue and white striped shirt. Her long curly brown hair was blowing softly from behind her. The thing the cat couldn't help but notice, but was her fierce 4 green eyes. I wonder who that could be. What do you think you're doing, messing with personal business? The man snapped, bringing the cat from surprise as he realized the man was still on top of him. The man could do anything to him under here. There was nothing she could do to help stop him, hurting him. But would the man really kill him if it came to it? Mystery allowed that? Or did the man even care? Stopping you, of course, she said defiantly, putting away her sword as she stepped closer. Cat still not believing what he was saying. He knew that face. He knew that voice. He knew who it was, but what was she doing here? Why did the man tense when she took a step closer? That is also meant to be a question. Pow! You best get off him, or you'll regret it. What are you going to do? Throw your dogs on me again? The man said with a cold laugh, and wrist hurting him. The cat squirmed under the man's grip as the man stood up, dragging the cat to his feet. The cat finally able to get a clear look at his potential rescuer. The young woman gave the man a small, mischievous smile. You just made that job a whole lot easier. Before the man could react, the cat could hear a growl from behind him. Then another, and another, and the man yelped in surprise as the cat was yanked away from the man and fell to the hard ground again, scrambling away as he watched his chaser run off, retreating with a frightened shouts as a pack of wolves chased him away. The cat startled but relieved. He should have known the wolves would have been nearby. But his mind was still swirling with questions as he sat up, groaning as he shook his head. He could still feel the sore bruises throbbing as he took deep breaths. He had enough running. He'd had enough of running. I'm confused by that sentence. He needed to rest, but he could rest here. Stampy? The woman's voice called, and the cat looked over to see her kneeling next to him, the fierceness evaporating into concern in her eyes. Are you okay? Are you alright? Cat shook his head. No, I'm not okay. Far from being okay. She nodded. Is there anything I could do for you? Perhaps a healing potion and a soft bed? The cat asked, looking up at her. No cake? She offered a small smile. I'm too sore for cake. The cat admitted sadly. Well, that's a first, she said with a chuckle, but her mood softened as she noticed a sad expression on her friend's face. Can you tell me what's wrong? It's complicated, the cat said, but Can you explain to me why you're here? She smiled and nodded. I've been here for quite some time. And yes, I've known about those men far longer than you realize. Most importantly, I'm glad I found you. The cat nodded quietly. So you were rescuing animals today? Yes. She smiled softly. I suppose you were very fortunate to come across us. I couldn't stay back there, the cat admitted. Gerald hurt me, Stacy. He threatened me, beat me, and tore every bit of hope I was holding on to. He took me from my friends, my world, and freed the men who wanted to kill us. All of us who wanted to kill me especially. Wait, you're not saying? She asked in surprise. The cat nodded solemnly. Mr. A and RJ are free from that prison world. I have to tell someone about it. I have to warn people. I have to... You've done enough, You've done a lot today, Tappy. She said softly, standing up as dogs were starting to return back. Technically, they're wolves. I gotta change that, because they're not dogs, they're wolves. There's a difference. Wolves are still wild. Dogs are loyal and not so wild. Technically. Come on, I think I know a place for you. You can trust me. The cat watched her as she offered him her hand. The cat hesitated before smiling, reaching out to take it, stumbling to his feet as he leaned against her. He did trust Daisy. She was one of his oldest friends. He knew he could trust her. She had, after all, just saved him from an uncertain fate. Thank you for everything, the cat whispered softly, feeling his eyes grow heavy. Tired and exhausted, he was safe. He didn't need to be afraid. She would keep him safe. He had to believe that. He did believe that. All they wanted was a friend. All he wanted. Chapter 11. Sam was helping Lizzie with one of the newest residents to the hospital wing that Stacy had brought in the day before, an orange and white fox who had hurt one of his front paws. Lizzie was rummaging through a nearby chest as the boy carefully bandaged the fox's paw with fresh bandages, relieved to see that the fox looked at him calmly, as if it didn't mind that it was so close. He was so close. Wow, I didn't know foxes could be so tame, the boy muttered, giving the fox a treat as he left it to rest. They aren't normally tame, but if they get attached to someone, it's a pretty loyal creature, but still a wild animal, Lizzie said simply, looking up from the chest. I get that, Sam said with a small smile, but they are pretty cute, you have to admit that. She laughed. I agree with you there, but I think Stacy and I agree that they are much cuter out in the wild where they belong. The boy chuckled, taking the healing potion she had handed him, and offered it to the fox. She took it reluctantly. There was still a hint of wildness in his brown eyes, but they were also intelligent eyes. The boy seemed to sense a wave of eagerness in its expression. But before the boy could think about that, he heard a door open from over by the back exit. As both he and Lizzie turned to find Stacy running into the room, looking frantic and bursting with something. Her eyes were bright and determined. No doubt something was up. But what? Stacy, what are you doing here? Lizzie asked in surprise. I thought you were supposed to be on a rescue expedition. I was, she said thoughtfully. The YouTuber looked over at the boy and frowned. But I ran into someone along the way that needed help. My help. Our help. Who is it? The boy asked, walking over towards his friend. He could figure out what she was talking about. Why did she seem so nervous about talking about it? Could she trust him? Was it something else? I think you might know, Sam, the young woman said with a firm expression. From the looks of it, he's been through quite the journey to get here. The boy swallowed, trying to connect the dots as he looked over at Lizzie's, whose eyes were wide with realization. And then it hit him. He knew it couldn't be Dan, since he had spoken to him recently, and there was only one other person he knew could possibly get in a mess like this. Why now? What happened? The boy asked quickly, wanting to get to the point. Where is he now? He's just outside, Stacy said, looking over her shoulder. I didn't want anyone getting suspicious if I brought him in, especially those who could cause him more harm than good. The boy nodded. Can I go see him? Maybe there's something we can do. Right, she said with a bright smile as she turned to go towards the door, but they stopped in their tracks when they all heard a scream. The boy recognized. in the world did I just say? Without hesitation, the boy ran out of the door, past Daisy, and into the outdoors, looking around hurriedly until he noticed a slight movement to his left, and went over to see what was going on. The boy could hear someone crying out in pain. They were thrown to the ground, whimpering softly. "Please, don't do this, please." The voice of the cat proceeded as the boy peeked around the corner, horrified as to what he saw. He could see the bruised and scraped form of the orange ginger cat he had gotten to know well, cornered against the wall, as a man in a camouflaged uniform loomed over him. The expression of the man's face didn't look pleased in the slightest. "You'll regret coming here, traitor." The man said with a sneer, extending a sharp iron sword as he looked down at the cat. "Shouldn't have come here. Should have stayed where you belonged. But you died at the hands of your master." "But I'm not," the cat insisted, crying out in pain as the man kicked him. "I don't need your petty lies, cat," the man snapped. "I know who you really are, and I won't have you influencing people with your manipulative words." "I'm not who you think I am," the cat said, groaning as he tried to sit up. But the man kicked him back down, raising the sword as if ready to strike. "I know very well who you are," the man sneered, "and you'll pay for what you've done." "No, please!" the cat screamed as the sword hurtled towards him. The boy lunged into action, extending his sword and firmly blocking the falling sword just in time, pushed the man backwards, sending him stumbling back in rage and shock. The boy could feel anger boiling up inside of him, hearing his friend sobbing softly behind him. He wasn't going to let this man hurt his friend if he could do anything about it. "What is the meaning of this, boy?" the man demanded angrily. "Don't you know what you're messing with?" "You don't have the right to threaten someone's life, traitor or not," the boy said defiantly. "And I'm pretty sure that Rose and Eli have made it very clear that this one is innocent." The man scoffed. "They're influenced by his lies, just as you are." The man scowled as he stepped towards the boy. "Do you even know who he is?" I know more than you do. I was there, after all," the boy said with confidence. "I saw everything. And I won't tolerate you threatening my friend." The man laughed. "He doesn't belong here. He should have died months ago. Your allies left him to die when you could have saved him," the boy said. "And he came here knowing the risks and dangers. There's a reason for every action, sir. And I don't think you want to make a very big mistake." "You're the one making the mistake, boy, not me," the man sneered. "I'm just ridding us of that traitor." The boy could hear the cat whimper softly behind him. Sobs seemed to have stopped, but the boy dared not look behind him. He didn't want to give the man a chance to distract him. The deputy needed him right now. He couldn't let him down. "What would Eli say if he knew what you were doing?" the boy offered, with a raised eyebrow. "Or better yet, Tony." The man swallowed, but his slight unease turned to anger. "You don't scare me, boy. I can easily take you on." "And how about 3 of us?" another voice said from a few feet away. The boy looked over to see, to his surprise, Liam and Brian walking over to stand by his side. 3, what? Swords in hand. Whoever messes with my friends, forever. Whoever messes with my friends, messes with me. "Same here," Brian said defiantly. Sam couldn't be any more prouder of to see the younger boy standing firm. He had come along well the past few days, even while standing willingness to defend a stranger he didn't know. The man laughed. "Just step aside and let me handle this. I promise you it won't take long." "Why, you scared of us?" the older boy asked, raising an eyebrow. "Afraid to see what we're capable of?" "You're nothing to me than a nuisance. Now get out of my way!" the man sneered, stepping closer. "I wouldn't be so quick to act if I were you," a familiar voice said from behind the man, which made him feel surprise. The boy looked up to see Tony, Stacy, and Lizzie standing firmly together. No doubt the girls had gotten Tony and come here. Now the man had no chance to get to his friend. Otherwise, he'd be in big trouble. The man scowled and lowered his sword, shaking his head in disgust. Fine, you can have him, for now. But it won't be the last you see of me. The man tore off round the corner and disappeared, the boy watching to make sure he wouldn't double back. I'll take care of him, Tony promised with a short nod, before going off to in the man's direction, as the boy nodded in return, turning to kneel down next to the cat, who was looking up at him, fear and relief in his eyes. Are you okay, Stampy? The boy asked him quietly. The man didn't hurt you, did he? The cat shook his head slowly, wiping tears from his eyes. No, he didn't hurt me. Sam nodded, relieved to hear that, but he looked over at his friend, examining the bruises and cuts that were all over his body, especially around his middle. And who did those to you? The cat swallowed, biting his bottom lip with uncertainty as he took a deep breath. Gerald hurt me far more than you think, Sam. He hurt me physically, yes, but he crushed me. He beat me down, made me feel helpless, vulnerable, and alone. I was afraid, especially knowing that Mr. A was waiting for me soon to finish me. I thought Mr. A and his brother were in the prison world, Liam said calmly, sitting next to his brother, and he looked at the cat with intrigue. He cut out Gerald, he freed them through a separate portal in my lovely world. He captured me and pulled me through the portal just before William was mere moments of rescuing me. Oh, the boy said with surprise, sadness and anger. Just seeing the hurt expression on his friend's eyes made his heart melt. How long have you been imprisoned? Maybe a week, the cat admitted, tears forming in his eyes as he shook his head. I felt so hopeless, so scared. How did you manage to escape? Brian's voice asked from nearby, and Sam looked over his shoulder at his friend, who seemed to have an empathetic expression on his soft features. The creeper snuck up where I was imprisoned and decided it was a good idea to try to hurt me. And freed me, the cat muttered with a sad smile. Stacy was the one who found me. I never would have made it here if it wasn't for her. Sam nodded and went over to give his friend a hug, which the cat accepted, tightening his embrace. The boy noticed his friend was shaking slightly. He was no longer crying, but he was still in evident pain. I'm just glad you're okay. I'm not sure if I really am yet, the cat admitted sadly, pulling away. Nowhere is safe for me, not even my lovely world. That's nonsense, Stampy, the boy smiled. Your lovely world is the best place for you. Besides, you're not going back alone. I'll go with you. You can do that? The cat asked with surprise. You bet he can, Lizzie's voice said from behind the older boy. Sam looked up to see the young YouTuber come over and hand him the cat a potion of healing. Stacy said you might want this. Thank you, the cat whispered softly. Drinking the potion with relief, the pain in his expression softening. His friend was going to be just fine. Come on, we have things to do, Stacy added, joining the conversation. Ryan, Liam, can you scout around to make sure no one comes near the hospital wing? Stampy needs some rest before traveling anywhere. Yes, ma'am, Liam said, and Brian said in unison, which seemed to amuse her. I'll make sure the two of you are ready for your little adventure, Lizzie replied quietly. Stacy's going to try to see what she can do about the information that Stampy told her. Sounds good to me, the boy said with a nod. Do you mind telling Dan as well? The cat offered, looking over at Stacy. I don't want to put anyone at risk in case people don't believe me. I promise you, Stampy, I will do that, she said with a smile. Sam watched as the cat nodded, standing up and offering a hand. Come on, let's go get some rest. Get you some rest. Doctor's orders, the boy said with a small smile. Cat smiled as well, taking the boy's hand as he helped him to his feet. Thank you, Sam, for helping me. Don't mention it, Stampy, the boy said. But you saved my life. Again? The cat insisted. Sam smiled and nodded. And I'll do it again if that's what it takes, the boy said. The boy noticed that tears formed in his friend's eyes. As he helped him towards the hospital wing, knowing that he had once again kept his promise and now had a chance to continue to do so. Stampy needed him. He would be there for him. no matter what it took. Chapter 12. Chapter 12. Stampy woke up with a start when he heard the sound of what sounded like banging on the door. The cat sat up in bed, looking around, confused and startled as he looked over to where the sound was coming from. "Open up! We know you're in there!" A voice shouted angrily. Sounded angry and cold, hungry for revenge. The cat scrambled to his feet as the door to the inside opened, and Sam ran into the room, looking at his friend and then at the door. "What's going on?" the cat asked nervously. "They know you're here, and they aren't happy," the boy replied with a frown. "We need to get you out of here." "How?" the cat asked, looking around the room. "There aren't any secrets in this room, are there?" "I wish," the boy sighed, shaking his head. "Ah, how dare you!" "Why?" and grabbing the cat's paw. "Stacey's waiting out at the front. She's taking us to the portal." "What about?" the cat asked. "She gave me a communicator so we have a way to talk to someone," he replied quickly. "I know it's risky, but it's better than the portal. We have to use it in emergencies." "Okay," the cat said, trying to digest all this in. He still felt tired and exhausted, but he was more scared than anything else. He had escaped from Mr. Ainsworld, escaped the fate that certainly would have been ended to him. He'd run into trouble only for the boy to help him, and now's his? All he wanted to do was sleep. Couldn't the men give him that? Nope. Suddenly the cat heard a crash and jumped as he heard the door come crashing down from the storage room. Now was their time to go. "Come on, Stampy," Sam insisted, pulling him towards the door as they left the hospital wing. Hearing the men pursuing them, the cat was afraid to look back, afraid to see the men that were coming after him. To kill him. The cat didn't say a single word as they ran through the building, down the hallway, and towards what looked like a front entrance. Sure enough, Stacy was waiting for them. She didn't have to ask the question that the cat knew was on the tip of her tongue. "We need to get out of here. Now," Sam told her matter-of-factly. "They're coming." "Come on, then," she said, opening the door as they ran towards the woods, the cat hearing faint shouts of alarm. "But won't they follow us?" the cat asked, looking over his shoulder as he saw a couple of the men running through the door, spotting them. "Tony has us covered," she replied. "We have some time." Sure enough, as the men went for them, they were intercepted. There were about half a dozen men within the small group that went after him, but a dozen that were keeping them back, and in the lead was Tony, which was no surprise to him. "I hope it's enough," the cat said quietly, as he pushed harder, trying not to think about the pain that was erupting from his middle. He couldn't give up now, not when he was so close to getting home. They went around the woods, taking sharp corners and weaving around trees in the hopes of confusing any stray pursuers. But as they ran, the cat could feel exhaustion filling him. He was tired of running, tired of fearing for his life, tired of feeling helpless and unable to defend himself. Would he ever see the end of all this chaos? He didn't know. "Stampy, are you okay?" the boy asked between breaths. "No," the cat admitted, stumbling before the boy caught him. "It hurts." "Just a little bit farther," the boy assured him. "I'll help you." The cat smiled. "I know you will." And they kept going. Stacy looking back to check on them from time to time before finally slowing down to a walk. "I think we lost him. I feel better knowing we're at the portal and out of here," the boy told her. "I get that," she replied, "but we're almost there." The cat nodded as he stumbled behind his friends, seeing that the trees were starting to thin around them. Sure enough, they found the portal sitting in a small clearing, waiting for them. The cat looked at it, part of him glad and sad about what he would have to do. "What about you?" the cat asked Stacy. "I'm staying here," she replied. "I need to make sure those men don't follow you through. Besides, I have other things to tend to." Oh, Cat said quietly, nodding his head with understanding. You sure you can't come with us? I don't want those men to hurt you. He won't, Stampy, she said with a smile. He's just angry and hurt about everything that has happened. They don't blame me for it? The cat asked. They don't blame me for being the one to bring those men back. It's a rumor, she sighed, shaking his head. But I don't think it did. It didn't, the cat replied sadly. Gerald certainly knows how to make things far more difficult, doesn't he? I'm sure they'll calm down once they realize you're not a threat, the boy said. Will they? Cat asked. You know how manipulative and clever Gerald is. No matter what I do, he'll always find a way to twist it back on me, to make it seem like I'm the bad one here. He may try, but he won't get away with it, the boy said with confidence. Really think so? The cat asked. Stacy went over to the portal and put in the coordinates. The helpers and I will be there to help you, Sam replied. And if he does take you out of your world, I'll be right behind you, not giving him a chance to hurt you. Sappy smiled. What about the few in the cause? Save for them, the boy replied. I hope you're right, the cat sighed. He couldn't help but think about what that man had done to him. How much torment he'd endured, the nightmares he'd suffered from, and the uncertainty of escape. And to know that the cause had a reason to attack him he was more scared than ever. Who could trust? Who could he trust besides those he knew? Was he ever going to get a break from all these dangers and threats? What if Gerald? Would he use this to try and ruin him, or do something else? How could he be sure he would be safe? I know I'm right, Stampy, the boy replied, bringing him back to reality. I won't let that man hurt you again. Neither will the helpers. You know that. I want to, but... The cat swallowed, shaking his head. It's hard. You do trust me, don't you? The boy asked. Of course I do, the cat said. And you do remember what I told you before we went back to the living world after what Mr. A tried to do to you? The boy continued. Yeah, I think so, the cat replied. I promised you that I wouldn't let anything happen to you, and I would do whatever it took to keep you safe, the boy replied. I even tackled Mr. A to prove a point, and I'm willing to do it again if I have to, if it means protecting you. Really? Cat asked. Remember coming back, fresh and reassuring, which was a relief. Hope turned its back on him as he shook his head. Gerald didn't think you were capable of that. That you only said it to keep me from knowing the truth. What truth? The boy asked. That we didn't care? That we were just doing it to make you trust us, only to abandon you? Yes, the cat said sadly. Sam smiled and shook his head, putting a hand on his friend's shoulder. There's risk when it comes to keeping your friends, the kind, safe. My mother and many others know that. Gave their lives to help. If they didn't think it wasn't right, would they have just turned their backs on their friends long ago? Well, of course they wouldn't abandon their friends, the cat replied. Been with you at your highest and lowest moments, the boy said. I've defended you when Gerald accused you of being a traitor. Came after you when you were captured. And I didn't abandon you when you needed me the most. And when everyone else would have. The boy smiled wide. I could have stayed back and let the men finish you, but I didn't. You're my friend, Stampy, and I made a promise, and I plan to keep it till the end. Really? Cat asked. Sam nodded and gave his friend a side hug. Yes, really. I shouldn't have doubted you, the cat said. Gerald made it seem so real, so cruel. He didn't let me hold on to anything, not even a chance that he might try to help me. I have, and I will continue to, the boy replied. Don't forget that. Don't let me forget that, the cat replied, smiling at his friend. He looked up and saw that Stacy was watching them, having been finished with the portal. Are you two ready to go? She asked. You sure you'll be okay? The cat asked. Both you and Lizzie? We'll be safe, she assured him. We're under careful watch and guard. Those men can't hurt us. Not if they want to get through the school. And from what I can see, even the kids are ready to fight if they have to, the boy said with amusement. Liam has been keeping them busy. He sure has, Lacey laughed. And it's good to see that something is going right for once. I hope it stays that way, Sam nodded. Just be careful, okay? We both will, she said with a nod. Now, why don't you get back home? Find the helpers and get somewhere safe. Go somewhere safe. I know you'll be just fine. Even with the threats and dangers that come from Gerald and the cost, the cat asked. Yes, she replied. I have faith in your helpers. And in that boy to keep you safe. The cat nodded, looking over at Sam. Smiled. The sooner we get out of here to find the helpers, the better I'll be. Good, Stacy nodded. And get some rest, Stampy. You need it. I'll try, the cat replied, as he grabbed the boy's hand, giving him the cue that he was ready. Because he needed to be. He was finally going home. And hopefully, if all went well, he'd be staying there for quite some time. And he wouldn't be alone. For that, he was grateful. Chapter 13. Sam could feel the sensation of falling as he slipped through the swirling abyss of color, eagerly awaiting to get to the other side, back to the lovely world where Stampy belonged. He stumbled out on the other side, catching himself and standing upright, looking around at the familiar terrain. The trees that hid the portal stood firm and steady, their branches blocking some of the afternoon sun from entering the small enclosure. The boy took a few steps forward, looking around before turning to see his friend stumble through. The boy caught him before he fell, helping him stand, but he could tell that his friend was exhausted. You look like you could use some rest, the boy told him. The cat smiled weakly and nodded. You could say so. The boy waited a moment, looking around the area. We should get you home so you can rest. What about my helpers? The cat asked reluctantly added. My things. I'll explain to them what you told me, the boy assured him softly. Besides, I'm sure your helpers can get your stuff back. Kid smiled, looking a little relieved. You don't mind? I don't, the boy replied. The only thing I need to ask you about is where we're going to put the computer. Cat nodded as they began heading to town. I don't think to put it. I don't think that doesn't work, does it? I don't think putting it in one of my communication builds would be a good idea. How come? The boy asked, letting his friend talk. Well, it's easy to get to, yes, but too easy, the cat replied. Just about anyone could go in and make a call. We can't have that. I see your point, the boy said in agreement. Plus, Mr. A's men could be expecting that. Exactly. The cat smiled with a gleam in his eyes. We need to make sure we can easily get to it without an issue, and make sure that they won't be able to get to it without our knowledge. So what do you propose? Sam asked curiously. Do you know that painting in the corner by Barnaby's bed? The cat asked. When the boy nodded, the cat continued, smiled as they walked down the birch and spruce checkered path that was surrounded from either side of colorful and unique buildings. That painting leads to a secret room in my bedroom. I call it the room of no requirement, due to the fact that it's just a room that has no purpose. That's cool, the boy said. Ain't clever. I know, the cat mused as they rounded a corner. It's in a place that's very difficult to get to without detection. Plus, it's in a place where no one will expect. See what you mean? The boy replied with a smile. Are you sure you don't mind? Of course I don't mind, the cat said with a laugh. I think I'll be too exhausted to care if you went into my room and set it up. I chuckled as he led the cat down another corner, trying to recall which way would lead them to the cat's home, which was slowly becoming the center of town. That is true. It is slowly becoming the center of town. Gradually. I think I'll take you to your room and let you rest for a bit when I catch the helpers up on what they missed and see how we can best help you, the boy replied. Is that okay? Wouldn't I need to be there as well? The cat asked. Sam shrugged. Your helpers know you best. I have no doubt you'll have no problem with what decision is made. I'm sure you're right, the cat replied as they both spotted the cat's home up ahead. As they continued, the boy spotted a figure heading towards them. The boy looked over at his friend as the cat's face brightened with joy at the sight of the approaching figure. As they came closer, the cat started running towards the figure, which the boy could now recognize. "Polly!" the cat said as he ran up to the reindeer, who beamed up at her friend, but excited to see him and relieved to see he was okay. She tackled the cat at a quick hug. The cat returned it with a cheerful laugh. "So good to see you again," the cat said, pulling away from her, glancing over at the boy. Reindeer nodded, lowering her head as she looked away from the cat. "You tried your best," the cat said sympathetically, coming over to his friend. "I know it had to be hard to not know what was happening, but I found a way out. I found help." The cat looked over at Sam and smiled. The boy nodded, not wanting to say anything. After all, the cat wasn't finished quite yet. "I know you'll do your better ensuring my safety, especially with Sam's help here. Something like what happened doesn't occur again. There will still be hope." The reindeer nodded and smiled, looking up at the boy with curiosity and interest. The boy walked closer to them. She went over to the boy and gave him a good hug, no doubt thanking him for bringing her friend back safely. The boy smiled and pulled away, looking for the cat to the reindeer as he tried to decide what to do next. Finally, he found the courage to speak up. She could probably guess Stampy's been through a lot lately, and he needs time to recover from it. The boy swallowed before continuing. "Plus, we also have something I'm going to need your help on setting up, if you don't mind. Can we go into the hidden room and set it up there?" "We can go into the hidden room and set it up there," dropping Stampy off in his room before looking for the other two helpers. The reindeer nodded, seeming to agree with the boy's statement. Sam smiled and nodded. "Thank you, Polly. You've already been a big help." "Couldn't agree more," the cat said with a smile. "Now, why don't we go into my bedroom? Unless you want to stop by your house and your home to get supplies?" Polly shook her head and began walking towards the cat's house. The cat shrugged and followed not too far behind. Sam was walking a little behind them, looking at his surroundings to make sure that there was nothing threatening lurking around the shadows. Seeing nothing, they continued on, going around a few more corners until they could see the cat's house in view. It didn't take long for the three of them to arrive at the house, which seemed untouched, and as the boy had remembered the last time he'd come to visit his lovely world. Sam wouldn't imagine how many things his friend had done in his world, even while he was gone. But the fact that this was the same felt welcoming. And the boy looked over at his friend. He could tell that Stampy felt the same way. "Are you ready to go inside?" Sam asked his friend. Standing beside him as Polly opened the door, stepping aside to allow them to walk through. "I'm so glad to be home," the cat said with a long, content sigh. "Just hope this can remain this way." "We'll worry about that when the time comes," the boy replied. "But we will be prepared. Those men won't stand a chance if they try to attack again." He chuckled nervously. "I really hope you're right about that." "I am," the boy said confidently. "It's our job to protect you and the helpers, and I will do everything we can to make sure it's done right." The cat looked over at Polly, who nodded with determination. Convinced by the boy's words, he walked into his house and over towards the stairs that led to his storage room. No doubt he knew exactly where he was going as he passed the storage room, followed shortly behind by the other two friends. It didn't take long, for they had finally arrived at the cat's bedroom, as the cat opened the door and to walk inside. Sam and Polly followed shortly behind him as he took in the familiar room. Had it really been over a month since he had last been here? The boy could hardly imagine how much had changed when the area looked unchanged. The boy looked over at the cat, looking around his room, his green eyes taking in everything. "Looks like you're pretty happy to be home," the boy teased at his friend. The cat turned and smiled at him, out of his awestruck daze. "The room should be right here," the cat said as he led the boy to the painting on the wall. He pulled a lever that was beside the door, and the boy heard a click. "Take your time." "Of course that lever isn't actually needed, I don't know." Yeah, weird. fun to play with, though. Thank you, Stampy, Sam said as Polly slipped inside. Oh, get some rest. I mean it. The cat laughed and nodded. I know you do. Don't worry, I'll rest as soon as you get to work. It really shouldn't be all that long, the boy reminded him. Sure you don't mind? Positive, the cat said with a smile. I'll be okay, you'll see. I guess I will, the boy mused as he went through the painting and up to the ladder leading to the small room that looked to be an unused attic. Technically, it could be an unused attic. Polly had set up a spruce table for the boy to place the communicator. Ah. She watched him eagerly as the boy carefully took out the communicator and put it on the center of the table. He stepped back, giving Polly a chance to examine it since she was an expert of the redstone technology. It doesn't like it when I don't capitalize it, okay? It does not like it when I capitalize it. When I don't capitalize it. Like, redstone? What's redstone? It's pretty complex. Are you able to figure out how to set it up so that it communicates through wealth? After a long moment of silence, while the boy watched her examine it, she looked back at the boy, smiled, and nodded. Satisfied, the boy watched as she tinkered with the device until she was content with the results. She stepped back so that they could both admire their handiwork. Do you think we should test it? Sam asked. I know it should only be used in emergencies, but I want to know for sure it works. Polly nodded and gestured for the boy to make the move. Sam took a deep breath and walked forward, looming over the device he had only been using for a few weeks. He pressed a few buttons to send it some coordinates and waited for a long, looking at the machine to make sure it was doing it as it should. So far, there didn't seem to be any complications. Suddenly, before the boy could change his mind, he heard the voice crackle through the speakers. Hello, who's this? It's me, Sam said with a beaming smile. I wanted to make sure that this thing worked. So, Dan said with a laugh. Well, I can assure you that I can hear you loud and clear. Good, the boy replied, clutching over the reindeer's direction. So you guys made it out okay? Dan asked. No complications? Nope, we're all okay, Sam assured his friend. So Dan sighed and was in what sounded like relief. Really good to hear. Why, did something happen? Sam asked in concern. No, not really, the YouTuber said. But I'd be careful while I were you. Very careful. I will, Sam said with a nod. You all will. Great, the man said. Well, I gotta go now. I'll pass on your message, and please don't call me again unless it's an emergency. That's an order. I hear you, Sam said obediently. Thanks for helping a friend out. I'm just glad it wasn't worse, the YouTuber sighed. Before the boy could say any more, the call was disconnected. Sam looked over at the reindeer, who nodded. Clearly, she was just as grateful as they all were that Stampy was okay, and the boy hoped it would remain that way for a long time. Come on, the boy said at last. Let's go find the others, and begin a plan to make sure Stampy is safe. The reindeer said nothing more as the boy went towards the ladder and descended them, his mind full of questions. But deep down inside, there was hope. Wow. Oof. Excuse me. I can't. Wow. That was interesting. I got it. I think we'll read through 2 more chapters and we'll call it a day. Because that's a good spot to end. Chapter 15 is a good spot to end. I know that because I wrote it. And I read through it plenty of times. For note-taking. Well, not note-taking, I read some stuff more than once. Because I can. Yeah. Stampy woke up with a start when he heard someone calling out his name. His eyes opened to find himself in the middle of a dark oak forest, surrounded by tall, dark oak trees. It appeared to be nighttime, but he couldn't be sure since there was no light coming from the leaves that loomed over him. He heard the voice again as he sat up, confused and puzzled as to where he was and why he felt so unnerved. The cat soon realized it wasn't just one voice, but many voices. Voices he recognized, voices that belonged to his friends. "Hello? Who's there?" the cat asked nervously, calling out into the darkness as he stood up, brushing the dirt off him as he did so. His surrounding area didn't help ease his nerves. He wished that he was still in his happier dreams, filled with cake and sunshine. Not this. Not the dreams he had been having off and on since the incident with Mr. A and Gerald. The man who had hurt him the most. Morton hit the target and even Vividash had, and now was saying something. Yeah, hit the target has done a lot. A lot more than Mr. A has. Yeah. Suddenly, he... Go away! I don't need you right now. College. Ah! You're messing me up. We're okay. I'm just feeling my way around. Wow. A lot of water. Suddenly he heard a blood-curdling scream. A scream for help that echoed through the woods. The cat's heart skipped a beat as his blood ran cold. One of his friends was in trouble. He had to help them. "I'm coming!" the cat cried out as he began to run into the trees, not daring to look back behind him as he tried to track down where the voices were coming from. "Help!" a voice screamed again as he ran faster, his heart racing as the sound grew louder and louder. "Hold on, I'm coming!" the cat hollered again, desperately hoping that he wasn't too late. Then suddenly, as the screaming had started, he stopped. The cat froze in his tracks when he noticed a figure approaching him. The cat took a step back in horror as he recognized the strides the man had. He'd been forced to be the man's prisoner for a week. "Gerald?" the cat stuttered in shock as the man's dark eyes gleamed as he approached the cat. "What are you doing here?" "What do you think I'm doing here?" the man asked, turning the question back on the cat. Debbie looked around, wondering if there was anywhere to run or hide, but he saw more figures approaching, most of them the men in Mr. A's typical uniform. There were two other distant figures of Mr. A and his brother Archie, standing not too far away, observing the scene. The cat was trapped, surrounded by his enemies, and on his own. "What did you do to my friends?" the cat asked, wanting to get to the point, afraid of what the men had done to them. "Only what they deserve, cat," the man sneered as he came closer. The cat took a step back, his heart hammering in his ears, as he heard faint cries for help. Cries that faded like the mist in the night. "How could you do this?" the cat asked, tears forming in his eyes. As the man came closer, the cat felt helpless against this man. He was too terrified to move. He didn't even flinch when the man extended. "I won't stop until I get you back, cat," the man said coldly. "When I finally finish what I started, finish you off as you should have been a month ago." The man raised the sword over his head. The cat stepped back, only to be shoved to the ground by one of the men. The cat looked up in horror as the sword loomed overhead, threatening to come down and end him. "You can't do this!" the cat shouted, shaking his head. "Please!" "We'll see about that, won't we?" the man said darkly, adjusted his grip on the blade. A metal gleamed from the little knight that struck it, and the man prepared to thrust it down on him. "Nothing will stop me, cat. Not you, not your friends. If they try, I will bring them to their knees, one by one, sure that they regret it for the rest of their short, miserable lives." The cat screamed, and the sword plunged towards him as he covered his face. Closing his eyes, his tears streamed down his face, preparing for the blow that would ultimately end him. Stumpy woke up with a start. Sitting up in bed as he gasped for air, the night sky could be seen outside his window. He realized that he had slept for whatever remained of the day. His heart was racing as he tried to calm himself. The images of Gerald looming over him and the cries of help from his friends still echoed in his mind. It was just a nightmare, a horrible, no-good dream that couldn't hurt him, but terrified him all the same. The cat leaned back against his pillow, looking up at the ceiling as he tried to regain his bearings. He blinked a few times, sitting there in silence, not realizing he was crying until he touched his wet cheeks with his paws and wiped the tears away. It hadn't been his first nightmare in the past week, but he had hoped that it would stop now that he was safe from danger. Apparently, there was still some bit of fear in what happened that he needed to be dealt with. He took a deep breath as he tried to clear his mind. He remembered seeing the boy going up to the room of no requirements before going to his chest and finding the lost things the men had taken from him. No doubt the helpers had retrieved them and put them in safely inside, so he could find it in case he returned. He was very glad that they'd done that, because he was still too terrified to go back to the place where the men had taken him, where he'd watched Gerald bring back. As Gerald brought back? Yeah, that's correct. As Gerald brought back the two men who had wanted him dead, and also watched helplessly as William had tried one last leap to try to help him, but stopped. It was all too painful to imagine even now, even though he knew that he was safe. No one could hurt him anymore, not even Gerald. Still, stunned from the events of his awful dream, the cat climbed out of bed and looked around his bedroom before deciding to head out over to his balcony. The cat opened the door to his balcony, welcomed by the cool air that washed over him as he stepped out to view his world at a time that he wanted to see more often. It was just as lovely, if not more, at night than during the day. Breathtaking. He was so glad to be a part of it again. Stampy closed his eyes as he lifted his face up to the starry night sky, his mind wandering as he tried not to think about the awful dream. The fear he'd felt, the sounds of his friends' screams and cries for help. He hadn't been able to help them. He'd been helpless himself, and the feelings of failure overwhelmed him. Even though he tried to remind himself that he'd saved hundreds of lives due to his warning to the YouTubers, he still felt like he might regret doing it. Especially if Gerald ever found a way to get to one of his friends. He was very capable of doing that, since he hadn't been only hiding both his or Dan's world from everyone in the class. There were no telling what tricks that man had up his sleeves, and that scared him. His thoughts were interrupted when he heard something below him. First, the cat thought it had to be something in his imagination, but he heard the sound of blocks being placed. Someone trying to pile up onto the balcony? The cat opened his eyes and looked over to find William smiling over at the cat, full diamond armor, as he pulled himself up and over the fence and landed on the cat's balcony. The cat smiled in surprise. I didn't expect to see you up this late. The beaver nodded and stood firm, gazing around the area in alert posture, just that seemed to say he was determined to make sure his friend was safe. You really don't have to do this, the cat told him. The beaver shook his head and put a paw on the cat's shoulder. Stampy smiled again and sighed. I'm sure that's a fair choice. I actually don't mind having the company. The beaver smiled and nodded, letting go of his friend's shoulder as he looked away. The cat had a feeling that the beaver was doing far more than patrol duty. I appreciate what you did back there, the cat said at last, breaking long moments of silence that ensued. I know you must be pretty down about what happened, but I'm okay now, see? The beaver nodded. He saw what his friend was meaning, but there was a hint of sadness in his eyes as he continued to avoid his friend's eyes. I know you don't want anything to happen to me, the cat said. Just because you failed once doesn't mean it's over. It's haven't proven that much. The beaver looked over at the cat as well, seeing the cat's point. Even though the boys had failed to stop the men from taking Dan and him when Gerald had betrayed them, they had gone above and beyond to go after them, despite the odds, to try to save them. Stampy couldn't forget something like that, especially when Stamp had been willing to tackle Mr. A to the ground to prevent him from hurting his friend. Even though he never saw it, he couldn't be any more grateful than he already was. The cat looked back up at the starry night sky, watching as the stars twinkled and sparkled overhead. It looked as calm and peaceful as ever, and the cat would have it no other way. How long could this last before the men struck again? What if they tried to use one of his friends to get to him? Did they have that opportunity? Sure, he knew Lizzie and Stacy were safe, since they had assured him of that. But what about Dan? What if the man captured him in one of his missions and tried to use him to get to the cat? What if they found one of his other friends? How could he make sure that everyone was safe if he didn't even know where they were anymore? Yeah, it had been years since he'd last heard from them. Constantly felt like a long time. Certainly felt like a long time, sorry. Suddenly the cat felt Beaver put his paw on his shoulder again. The cat looked over at his friend, who seemed to understand his son's broken concern. The cat swallowed his side, shaking his head as he desperately tried to find some excuse for why he was up so late. But he couldn't help but hear the cries for help from his friends in his mind, a haunting reminder that he was still vulnerable, weak. Do you think we'll be able to do this? The cat asked his friend, deciding not to be dishonest with his friend. So much has happened in such a short amount of time. I really don't know if we can handle it. The beaver squeezed the cat's shoulder reassuringly before letting go, looking out at the world that they could see. The cat let out a long sigh. I know I have you guys, but not everyone has amazing people to kind of, you know what I mean? The beaver nodded, looking at the cat with curiosity. The cat couldn't help but smile. Yeah, you're probably right. They'd be able to handle themselves. If not, we'll do what we can to help them. Gerald won't win. Mr. A won't win. None of them will win. Beaver smiled with a confidence that couldn't be denied as the cat thought about what he had just said. Those men wouldn't win, no matter how hard they tried. He wouldn't let them. He couldn't let them. He had friends who would help him, and his friends who cared about him would do anything for him. He couldn't forget about that, even if things weren't really going as expected. Even though he didn't know what the outcome would be. He just had to trust that somehow they would get through it. It's not like he hadn't done it plenty of times before. It was his target. Those men were no different. These men were no different. The cat took a deep breath, finally able to cope with the haunting nightmares he struggled with through the last half hour. God, he had friends here who would support him. He had his helpers, Sam, no sister by his side, even when everyone else would rather see him dead. He was a hero, and the YouTubers wouldn't soon forget it. And of course, neither would he. I think it should be a good idea to go back inside, the cat said at last, turning to go back into his bedroom. I don't like how out and open we appear, and I'm sure you need to continue your part of the job. The beaver smiled and shrugged as the cat walked through the door, wishing his friend a good night before closing it. The cat walked over to his bed and hesitated, not sure if he wanted to try to go back to sleep, what had happened, but he reassured himself that everything would be fine as he climbed into his bed and rested his head on the soft pillow, closing his eyes as he glanced up at the familiar ceiling, slowly drifting back off to sleep. And it was a peaceful and nightmare-free sleep, the kind of sleep that he so badly needed and was glad to have. He was free of the nightmares, free of the horrors of what had happened to him months ago. Those men might be free, but they were going to find it much harder to get what they wanted. And the cat wanted to keep it that way. His last thing he wanted was to see that awful man again, ready to finish him off once and for all. That was the kind of nightmare he never wanted to see come true. Not after how close he had come to it last time. But he wasn't thinking of that as he drifted off all the way All of it was just a smooth and easy sleep, that both refreshing and restoring. How's everyone doing? I'm still, I don't know if I want to do it at 15 because it's a pretty big cliffhanger. Kinda. It's a cliffhanger. Sorta. I don't want to be mean, but I have to be mean sometimes. Chapter 15. Yeah, I think we're okay. Chapter 15. Let's get some more characters in. Now, shall we? The next day seemed like what Sam had been used to when he had stayed in the lovely world a while before. The morning routine was still the same as always. It was either followed by building or playing a game of some kind. Sam really enjoyed whatever came next, since it gave him the chance to see what was new in the lovely world. And my foot is falling asleep. Well, to see what other new things his friend would come up with next. He was never disappointed with the outcome. But as the day had come and gone, and the next, the boy could see that by each day that passed, his friend was improving more and more. He was becoming his old self again, and the boy was glad about that. 3 days had passed in the total, and since they had returned to the lovely world, and the boy was watching as the cat, William, and Lizzie worked on the build. Sam had come to the agreement that someone always needed to be on the lookout in case there was trouble, so they could be prepared to take action. It was the boy's shift to be the lookout as he looked away from the build and scanned the surrounding area. The boy took a deep breath, taking the scent of food pouring from the windows of shops and restaurants and other natural smells that the boy couldn't quite pinpoint. But he wasn't too concerned. After all, the area did seem to be clear of any threat. He could see anyway. None. Sam let his mind wander a little bit as he tried to recall the last few days. It had been too hard for him to adjust back into this familiar routine. But even when these things were going well, he couldn't help but wonder when all of it would go wrong. Was this only an illusion? Why hadn't Charleston meant to capture the cat already? Why was he waiting for something? What could that man be doing right now? The fact that he did no uneased him. But it wasn't enough for him to feel paranoia. There wasn't much that he could do, so he had to make do with what he had on hand. And that was friends and allies. He wasn't protecting Stampy on his own. The helpers were also helping him, and it made things so much easier for him. Suddenly, his thoughts were interrupted when he heard a soft whine from beside him. He looked down to see a dog with an orange collar next to him, looking at him with curiosity. Sam smiled down at the dog who had joined them for the day. Everything good for you, Sherbert? The dog wagged his tail rapidly and barked once Sam nodded. Sam nodded, glad to know that they both agreed on something. It sure does look lovely today, the boy said simply, looking up at the blue sky, scanning for a sign of a helicopter. There was none to be seen. The dog barked again, but the boy noticed that there was a different tone in it. The boy looked over at him with confusion when the dog barked again, then grew quiet. All they could hear was the sound of their friends working above them. Is there something wrong? The boy asked the dog, quietly kneeling down to get closer so he could look at the dog's brown eyes. The dog whined once and then looked towards the right, where there was a path leading away from where they were. Sam stood up, deciding he should check it out. Clearly, Sherbert didn't want to be too far away from his master. The boy understood that as he turned back to get the cat's attention. After calling his friend's name a few times, the boy could see the cat appear over near the edge of the building, looking down at him. Is everything all right? The cat asked. I'm not sure, but Sherbert thinks something's out there. I'm going to check it out. Okay, the cat said with a nod. Just be careful. You don't know what could be out there. I know, Sam replied. But don't come back in 2 minutes. You can come looking for me. The cat smiled and nodded again. That will have to do, I suppose. Promise I won't be long, the boy insisted. But in case I am, I give you permission to come looking for me. I'll be sure to take that into consideration, the cat said. Sam nodded. See you soon. Sooner the better, the cat said before disappearing from view. Getting what he'd needed, the boy looked over at the dog, who looked anxious for some reason. Don't let anything happen to him while I'm gone, okay? The boy asked. The dog barked with determination, giving the boy the courage to go. But before he did, he looked back to where his friend had disappeared, and felt that there was something different. His friend had certainly wanted him to be careful, but knowing he could put his friend in danger scared him even more. The boy took a deep breath and pushed the thought out of his mind. It was probably something small, not life-threatening, like a potential attack. He needed to remember that he shouldn't underestimate the helpers. Sure, they were outsmarted once, but that didn't mean they couldn't change that. He knew they could show those men that they were not those to mess with lightly. The boy began walking down the path, scanning the area for any signs of a potential threat. So far, he didn't hear anything, didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Suddenly, he heard a faint voice crying out, the sound of a voice that was hardly noticeable. The sound of the voice was hardly noticeable. Stop! I don't want people to look for you. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. But seriously, it's like if I turn off Do Not Disturb, then I can't see the chat. At least I'm assuming it. But the boy had heard it. Clearly, Sherbert had as well. The boy went in the direction from which he had heard the voice, but as it continued, he could hear more voices. There was definitely something going on. Don't let him move, the voice commanded as the boy drew nearer, now able to clearly hear what was being said. Can't let him escape again. Again? The boy wondered. What had the man? Had they tried to capture someone only for him to escape? It wasn't like it hadn't been through the same thing before. I'd say we kill him. Another voice piped up as Sam stopped at the corner, not sure if he should risk taking a look, but he knew he had to. Suddenly he heard a groan from nearby as the voice he'd heard before say, Please, you can't. I'm not imitating. The voice cried out in pain as the boy heard one of the men kick him, demanding him to be quiet. The sound of muffled cries pained him. He remembered what the cat had told him when he'd found him days earlier. He had to help. The boy looked around the corner as the man began whispering. The boy could see about 3 men in total. One of them pinning someone to the wall. The boy couldn't quite really see who it was because the man was in the way. But he knew he couldn't just simply stand there and watch this happen. Whatever we do, we need to do it fast before anyone finds out, the first man said, glaring at the captive, who was weakly struggling against the man holding him down. The boy could see that the man had covered the victim's mouth, muffling his cries. Shouldn't we take him back, though? Back to where he belongs? The second man asked. The first man shook his head, extending a sword, making the prisoner squirm even more. We don't need him. Not when we have the other one. What was the man saying? What was he referring to? The boy couldn't stop the questions that flooded his mind as the third man stepped back, pushing the YouTuber to the ground. The boy had a clear view of the prisoner now. He was a tall man in his late 20s. The man had bright blonde hair and piercing blue eyes that no doubt was full of fear and uncertainty. The men surrounded him. The man wore a lime green hoodie, his sleeves rolled up, as well as some bright blue jeans. The man scrambled back as the man with the sword approached him. "What are you doing to her?" the man asked, his voice shaking with fear. "It's none of your concern, YouTuber," the first man sneered, raising the sword higher. The YouTuber's eyes widened in horror, snapping the boy into action. Sam extended his own sword and charged, shoving one of the falling sword, startling the three men in the process. The boy shoved the man holding the sword backward as he looked at each of them. The first man lowered his sword and smiled coldly. "What do you think you're doing here, boy?" "Yeah," the second man replied. "Shouldn't you be sticking with your friend, making sure he doesn't get into trouble?" "I have faith that the helpers would do just fine handling anything you may do," the boy said confidently. "As for you guys, you should be ashamed of yourselves." "How so?" the man said with a chuckle, though he could see that the man was very annoyed to see him there, but Sam didn't care. He was doing what he'd come to do, to help people who needed his help. "Do you really think you have a right to come into this world and threaten innocent people like this?" the boy asked, raising an eyebrow. "I know you think you're doing the right thing and only doing what you've been told, but have you ever thought of the consequences of that?" "And why should we?" the second man snapped, extending his sword as the third one did the same. "What does it stop us from simply attacking you?" The boy shrugged. "Certainly try, but I'd be careful about doing it." "Very well then," the first man shrugged, as he eyed the boy suspiciously. "I'm going to ask you once and only once that you get out of our way. I don't care if you think you're doing your duty, but I won't tolerate a boy like you stopping us, not after what you did months ago." The boy smiled. "Then you know I take my priorities very seriously." "Yeah?" Cost flew. The three men hesitated, and the boy could tell that they weren't sure of whether or not they should take him seriously. But the boy felt confident, and he was more than willing to take on these men if he needed to. After all, his friend had taught him how to do just that. Before the men could say anything, an arrow whizzed over the men's head and struck the wall of the building behind them. The three men yelped and looked up to find three figures standing on the roof. William was holding a bow and arrow knocked inside. Dampy was holding his ridiculously overpowered sword, and Busy was holding a bucket of water in one hand and a cookie in the other. Of course. "What the?" the marriage man said in surprise. "I would suggest you leave," the cat warned with a raised eyebrow. "Otherwise, what Sam said will come true." "Come on, let's go," the second man said nervously. "We can take them," the first man said defiantly. "Besides, we can't leave and let the YouTuber leave alive." "Does it look like we have much of a choice?" the third man asked. "We're outnumbered now, 4-3. The second man scowled as he glanced from the roof to the boy, clearly considering leaving. But the first man wasn't budging as he turned to lunge at the boy. Sam was ready to block the man's attack as William jumped off the roof and tackled the man to the ground, knocking him unconscious while the other men scrambled away, screaming. William charged after them, followed by the cat and Fiddy. Stampy hesitated for just a moment to look back and face the boy. "You okay?" "I'll be fine," Sam nodded. "Thanks for the help, Stampy." Cat smiled and nodded. "It was my pleasure." The boy watched as the cat ran after the helpers before turning around to look down at the man he'd just rescued. The man looked up at him, shocked, surprised, and uncertainty. Also looked relieved to be still alive. Sam knelt down and looked into the man's eyes, trying to see if there was any visible injuries. From what he could see, the man appeared mostly unharmed. "Are you okay?" The man looked away from the boy and nodded. "I'm fine." "You sure?" Sam asked. "Because I do have something to help with the pain if any pain you might be feeling." pain isn't physical, YouTuber said sadly, looking up at the boy. Those men took someone I cared about. Someone Stampy knows. You know Stampy? The boy asked in surprise. The man smiled weakly. Yeah, I do. Why else would I be here? Didn't mention her, the boy said, remembering what had happened a few moments before. The man sighed and nodded. Yeah, and now I know why they wanted her so badly. What did happen to you? Sam asked. It's complicated, the man said. Pretty long story. Sam smiled and shook his head. I don't mind. The man looked at the boy curiously, not saying anything for a long moment. Why did you do that? Do what? Sam asked. Stop that man from hurting me. You don't even know me. The man replied. Months ago, I didn't even know Stampy, and I was willing to stop those men from destroying him. The boy smiled sadly. I know what those men could do, and so does he. If anything, I have no doubt we can get your friend back. Really think so? The man asked. If you don't believe it, then ask Stampy, the boy replied. I have a feeling he'd say the same thing. The man smiled sadly and nodded. I think it would be better if he was here to listen as well. I'm good with that, the boy replied. Can you at least tell me your name? Martin, the man replied with a nod. Then he smiled. And you must be Sam. Yep, the boy added. Smiled. I sure am. Not. Well. Let us continue, because why not? I'm still feeling that we need to continue. I'm sorry. Chapter 16. Stampy watched as the two men ran away as William chased them off. He stopped running, walking beside Lizzie as he waited for William to come back. He couldn't believe what he had seen when he'd gone looking for the boy. He found Sam surrounded by mysterious men, protecting one of his old friends. It was unbelievable, yet he probably should have expected as much. Sam was the kind of person who would help anyone in need, even a total stranger. But he also knew that he had left the two of them with an unconscious man who could wake up any moment. He couldn't imagine what would happen if the men by chance woke up. And what about his friend? Clearly, had been attacked for some reason. But why? There had been a reason why the men targeted his friend like that. Did Martin know something that the men didn't want him to tell? What was going on that he didn't know about? The cat looked over his shoulder, tempted to go back and make sure everything was okay, but he didn't have to wait for long before William came back and shook his head with disappointment. It's okay, William, the cat replied. We'll get them next time, but it's nice to know we're all safe. The beaver smiled and nodded, agreeing with the cat, but he stopped when he noticed the uneasiness in the cat's expression. We should get back to the others and deal with the other man, the cat replied, and figure out how and why Martin is here. William nodded firmly as he began heading back the way they'd come. But the cat was not at all nervous about their return, just hoping the man had left his friends alone, but fairly sure Sam would be able to handle William anyway. He just wanted to make sure, especially when his mind returned to his dream. He could barely remember. All he knew was Gerald had scared him, and his friends had been in danger. What was his greatest fear happening? The cat pushed the thought out of his mind as he tried to think about other things, happier things, things that were full of hope. He didn't want to be afraid because someone expected him to be. He wanted to be brave because someone needed him to be. Martin needed to know he was okay, and that he was going to get through this. He was just glad Sam had been there for his friend when he needed him the most. It didn't take long before they rounded a corner and could see two friends not too far away. Sam had managed to create a bench and had gotten Martin to sit down, but there was no sign of the man that had led to the attack. Wow. The cat ran over to them, looking around cautiously as he gave them a welcoming smile. You guys look like you've settled in. Sam smiled and shrugged. I'm just trying to help. But what of the man? What happened to him? The cat asked. He got up and just simply snuck away, Martin replied bluntly. The cat looked at them in surprise. But why? Wouldn't he have tried to attack you? Sam chuckled and shook his head. I don't think he was taking any chances. Besides, he didn't know if Polly was nearby or not. Oh, yeah, snowballs of doom. It's double little things already. That makes sense. I'm glad you're both okay. Yeah, Martin said with a nod. But not everyone. What do you mean? The cat asked, a wave of uneasiness filling him. Clearly something wasn't quite right about this. None of it felt quite right. Martin looked away from his friend, glancing over at the boy, gave him an encouraging nod. The YouTuber took a deep breath as he began. I wasn't the only one who came here. Those men took someone from me. Someone who's really close to you. Someone they felt would be needed for their plan. They even staged an attack to distract us from the truth. I tried to stop them, but I didn't make it in time. The YouTuber lowered his head as he wiped some tears out of his eyes. Tears that the cat could understand. He couldn't stop himself from asking the question he dreaded to know the answer to. Who was it? Martin closed his eyes and shook his head, and the cat watched as the boy put a reassuring hand on the man's shoulder. It was a gentle gesture, one the YouTuber needed. The man swallowed and looked up the cat straight in the eye, pausing a moment to make sure that his friend had his friend's complete attention. He took Nettie, Stampy. The man replied quietly. Those men took her, and I was trying to get her back, but those men were trying to stop me. If Sam hadn't come when he needed, if guys hadn't come when he did, he didn't finish his thought. But then again, he napped it. No, guys, it's just belief. Lump forming in his throat. That can't be possible. I'm afraid so, Martin replied grimly. But we can get her back, the boy said, speaking to the both of them. If we work together, we can stop those men from doing anything. Cat swallowed hard as he closed his eyes, trying to shake the image of Gerald from his mind. The man had her. He had one of his friends, and no doubt he was planning to use her to get to him. That man would just do about anything to get to him. He should have done something about it. He should have... Stampy? Sam asked with a tone of concern. The cat was instantly snapped into the present. There was everyone watching him. I'm okay, the cat said. Gerald could be doing anything to her. Anything. I can't imagine how scared and alone she must be feeling. Is it that bad? Martin asked. The man hurt me, said Martin. The cat said determinedly. He did everything he could to try to ensure that his allies, Mr. A and RJ, leaders of the group who were trying to destroy the YouTubers, would finish me. He hurt me more ways than you would ever know, and I don't want... The cat took a deep breath before pulling himself together. I don't want him to hurt her as he did me. Then maybe you should go somewhere safe, Martin said quickly. Somewhere where the man can't get you. He could be using this as a trap to get to you. No, the guy replied, shaking his head. I have to help her. She needs me. She needs all of us. Are you sure? Martin asked with uncertainty. She's my sister, the man said matter-of-factly. I'd do anything to help her, trap or not. Besides, I'm not going about this alone. He's right, Sam said with a smile. He won't be doing this alone. We're doing this together. Martin nodded inside. Okay, so how exactly are we going to do this? We need to find out where they took her, the boy replied, as if it was a simple answer. Where could she be? She could practically be anywhere, Martin declared in discouragement. No, I don't think so, the cat said, feeling the dread inside of him coming up in waves. I think I know where they might have taken her. You sure? Martin asked. If this were a trap, it'd be pretty obvious, the cat mused, shaking his head. But I'm going, and I'm not letting anyone change my mind. No one is, Sam said sincerely. We will do this. I'm confident in that. Confident of that. The cat nodded and took a deep breath, looking over at the other two helpers. Fizzy somehow randomly showed up. Okay. Well, okay. Fizzy magically showed up. He probably showed up when they were talking, okay. Oops. Are you two willing to give us a hand? Both William and Fizzy nodded. The cat smiled and looked back at the others. Well then, it looks like we have a rescue mission to do. The walk through the town felt like it went on forever, even though it was probably only for a few minutes. Stampy led his small group of friends down the path, keeping himself focused and alert, trying his best to remember where he had been taken a couple of weeks before. He shuddered and tried not to think of the place. He dreaded going back there, but he knew he had to. He needed to help Nitty. They were her only hope of rescue, even though if it did turn out to be a trap. I hoped it didn't have to come to that, but he would be ready if it did. At least he hoped that he would. He looked up at the bright blue sky, wondering if there was any chance that the men were watching them. Charles probably already knew that he knew. If the man had wanted to, he could have attacked them, especially since the copter would be able to get to them in record speed. Unless that had been destroyed. There had been a pretty big explosion shortly before William had barged in for the last attempt to help him. Could that have been the copter? Couldn't be sure. He was almost too afraid to ask, but it was a pretty safe sign that the copter wasn't coming, and hadn't been seen since the day he'd been taken out of this world, and he knew that the man had done the same thing to his friend. The cat closed his eyes and took a deep breath. A wave of fear for his sister overwhelming him. She had to be so alone and scared. He couldn't imagine what the man could be doing to her if he had her. Are you sure you want to do this? White asked from beside him. The cat looked over and saw Martin walking by his side. He seemed to be having second thoughts. I'm not having second thoughts, the cat said matter-of-factly. I'm just hoping things don't go wrong. I do too, the man said honestly. Though I can't believe how you know these people, and why they would do something like this. I felt the same way when I first found out. See it? Do you guys see it? Oh boy. Oh boy. Boop. Fixed. The cat replied, I didn't really take Sam's warning seriously until those men attacked me and attempted to capture me. Practically saved my life that day. In fact, he's done that ever since. True. Martin looked at him curiously. Is that so? You really wouldn't think of him as a hero from a glance? No, he wouldn't. The cat's so small, but I honestly wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. I guess Nettie must need that kind of hero as of right now, the man said sadly. But there was hope in his voice. Cat nodded his head in agreement. She has us, though, and that's more than enough. Do you think we could do it? The man asked hopefully. I sure hope so, the cat said, looking forward as they turned away from the funland and towards the familiar group of trees that had a dangerous secret within. We're getting close. Martin nodded, his jaw set as he looked ahead. I really hope these men haven't done anything to her. The cat swallowed and nodded. But this is Gerald we're talking about. He could be planning anything. He could be doing anything. After all, he does like to tormenting his victim. Wow. Stampy shuddered as an old memory flooded back into his mind. He tried to push it away. The man had hurt him physically and emotionally. He tried to crush him, to make him feel helpless and hopeless. He was nothing. Then no one was coming for him. He'd been doing that to Nettie? Was he trying something else? Something far worse? The cat took a deep breath, trying to drown the doubts that were swirling around him, fears that wanted to consume him, the uncertainties of what he might find through these trees. You're really conflicted by all this, the YouTuber replied, studying him for a moment. The cat let out a sigh. I want to help her, but that man scares me. I still haven't gotten through what he did to me a couple of weeks ago. It's fairly recent, the YouTuber said softly. Thank you, but no thank you. It was also around the time when she started to act a little differently, like she wasn't herself. The cat cocked his head, looking over at his friend. Curiously. How so? She seemed more nervous, skittish, and whenever anyone asked her if anything was wrong, she said she was fine. The man replied, I shouldn't have ignored it. I should have made her tell me. Maybe things would have been ended differently. We could have protected her. Those men would have found a way to get to her, no matter what you did, the cat said, shaking his head. My helpers tried everything to keep those men from getting to me. there were too many of them. We got outsmarted, and I had to endure a lot of things I'd rather forget. I'm sure she didn't want us to worry, the YouTuber replied, or think she was being weird. Would you have thought that? Cat asked him. Martin hesitated before replying. No, I wouldn't have, especially if she felt she was in danger. Ned nodded. You can still help her. We all can. I'm glad, the YouTuber nodded. I really appreciate your willingness to help, even though it risks your safety. Cat smiled. You know, I'd do anything for her. So would you, if you were in my place. No doubt about it, Martin said with a small grin. They neared the edge of the woods when the cat stopped. He turned to face his other friends, who had been following them. Sam wasn't too far away and had clearly been listening in on their conversation. So what's the plan? The boy asked, looking up at the cat. You're asking me? The cat is surprised. You're the one who's been in some rescue missions. The boy smiled. I know, but so have you. Besides, this is your friend. You have the right to lead us onward. The cat smiled and nodded. He looked back to the woods, trying to figure out what he should do next. Let's get closer to first see what we are dealing with. The remaining four nodded as they followed him through the woods, near the edge of the clearing, and then the cat felt a cold breeze wash over him as he shivered. This place did not bring any good memories, but he couldn't turn back now, not when he had a chance to stop Gerald from hurting one of his friends. Hang on, I need to blow my nose quick. Okay? I'll be right back. Hopefully my iPad doesn't fall asleep. That should be quick. Good, back. I have arrived. Now we have returned. Yeah, probably have to go to the bathroom afterward. I could end it here, but I don't think that would be a best thought. Chapter 17. Sam looked over the bushes and into the clearing. A shiver ran through him as he saw what lay before him. There was a cobblestone building on one side of the clearing, with a giant hole next to it, which the boy assumed was where the copter had been. What had happened to it? From what he could see, there had to have been some sort of explosion. On the other side of the clearing was a smaller building with a chest leaning against one of the walls. Guards were coming in and out of it, which made the boy assume that it was probably where the men took residence. He counted to 20 to 30 men in total, far outnumbering them. Wow, that's a lot of men, Martin said in a hushed whisper. Do you think we'll be able to take them all? No, not if we want to get to Nettie out of there, the cat replied. If Gerald hears a word of this by one of the men, he could take her away and we won't ever see her again. We need a distraction. What kind of a distraction? The boy asked, looking over at his friend, waiting for him to give the word. It was a choice he made for his friend, since he was sure the cat would do anything to help his friend. Sister, no doubt. A big one, the cat replied, looking over at the helpers. William and Fizzy nodded as if hearing unspoken words. Can you find a way to get these men out of the way so we can get into the big building without being detected? William nodded, putting on full diamond armor as he did so, which made the cat feel better. Good. I'll give you 5 minutes to devise a plan and make it happen. Think you can do it? The two helpers nodded with full confidence as they ran off in the opposite direction, disappearing from sight. God looked back at the other two, looking a little more hopeful. Do you think all of the men will go? Won't they think that it might be a delusion? The cat shrugged. They don't like taking chances. So much of them will probably go check it out. If there are any strugglers, we can take them. Okay, Martin replied with a nod. Looking over at the building with a hole in the ground. Do you think she's in there? By the hole in the ground. Wow. I'm almost certain of it, the cat replied. We need to wait until it's safe, and then we run. Trusting you in this one, Deborah replied. Me too, Sam replied. What do you think? The cat asked. It's a great idea, the boy said with a smile. The cat smiled in return as he turned to face the clearing, taking a deep breath as he did so. They waited for what felt like an eternity before there was a sound of an explosion followed by fireworks to their left. Immediately, men began shouting and grabbing their weapons, running towards the sound. Sure enough, all of them had disappeared, leaving the place quiet and deserted with faint shouts and cries in the distance. Really hope those two will be okay, Martin said with a sigh. But it looks like that did the trick. It looks almost too easy, the cat said, amused with an air of uncertainty. Then we should be on our guard, the boy said confidently as he stepped out into the clearing. Come on, now's a chance. The YouTubers glanced at each other for a moment before nodding, following the boy out into the clearing, the cat following the furthest behind. The boy could tell he was reluctant, even though he looked determined to keep going. He had to give his friend some credit. He was pretty brave in coming here to the place that had brought him so many bad memories. They made it to the building, and the boy opened the door and peeked aside before letting it open to his friends. Looks clear to me. The cat nodded as he walked in first, his body tense. His alertness was keen as ever. He clearly wasn't taking any chances. When the other two followed him inside, the boy could see confusion forming in his friend's features. Nearly empty, the cat said, sounding almost disappointed. The cat was right. Except for the desk and chair near one of the corners, the place looked almost empty. There was a blank wall where the outline where a portal used to be. Clearly, the men had destroyed it to hide their tracks. But the place wasn't holding a prisoner of any kind, or didn't occupy a man who was thirsty for revenge. At least it didn't appear so. You think there might be a secret passage of some kind? The boy suggested. Gerald did probably know about the secret passages in some of the safe houses. So he might have created one to throw any returners off. And he's done that before. Guess I was frightening, does he not? Good idea. Let's have a look around to see what we can find. What exactly are we looking for? Martin asked the two of them. Anything that could possibly be an opening of some kind, the boy replied. Like a loose block or a button, or even better yet, a hidden trap door. You think it'd be that easy? The cat asked. Sam shrugged. Just for a trap when Gerald wants you to find it? Cat swallowed and nodded. I see your point. Since it's not in plain sight, we need to look for it. Hopefully we do find it before the man tries anything, Martin said with a nod before looking around the room, putting his hands on the wall, feeling every inch of it. Stumpy went over to another area and did the same thing. Sam walked over to the desk and looked at it curiously, trying to see if he could find anything out of the ordinary. First, he didn't see anything. Then, as he walked around to the other side of it, he noticed something near the corner of the desk. So it appeared to be a little opening. So I walked over and opened a trap door and looked down to what appeared to be a hallway leading away from him to the right. Guys, I think I found it, the boy replied, standing up and turning to find two birds looking back at him for a moment before running over to check it out. No way, the cat said in amazement. You think it was here the whole time when they took me here? Maybe, the boy shrugged. But it looks like a step in the right direction. Yeah, Martin said slowly, looking over his shoulder to the closed door. Maybe someone should stay here to keep watch. I could do it, the boy suggested quickly. You sure? The cat asked, surprised. Yeah, I'm sure, the boy nodded, matter-of-factly. Besides, she's your friend. She might handle it better if you two are there, rather than a complete stranger. Martin nodded, seeming to see the boy's point. You sure you can trust me to keep Stampy safe? I'll be fine, the cat reassured him. Charles probably expecting me to be coming alone. He wasn't expecting me to have two of us. Yeah, the boy nodded. Besides, I know I can trust you, Martin. Stampy certainly does. Martin smiled and nodded. I won't disappoint you. You'll do your best, the boy replied. That's all I want from you. Now let's do this, the YouTuber said. looking over to the cat, who nodded his head in agreement. See you when you come back with Nitty. I'm looking forward to it, the boy said cheerfully, as the two friends climbed down the ladder to the ground. The boy closed the trap door, standing up to face the doorway. He had a mission to do, and he knew his friends had their own thing to do as well. He just hoped that his friends would be able to help the other YouTuber. He didn't want to think of all the things that could go wrong. He could only trust that somehow things would work out one way or another. I think this is a good spot to stop for now, because in the next chapter we get more and all that stuff, and then it gets pretty quick there from there. And I'm just like, this is a good spot to stop for now. Yeah, I know, a little bit of a cliffhanger, and some of you Nitty fans might not like me for this, but yeah. Try not to have any nightmares. Leaves. Well, it's not too bad. I can assure you that. It's like, it's not awful. It's like, not the worst thing you can imagine. But, yeah, things are gonna happen.